What's going on, everybody? This is AJ, your host of the Blue to Green podcast. On today's episode, I sit down with a gentleman by the name of Mike Crawford. Mike is a retired law enforcement officer here from Glendale, Arizona. He did 20 years with them. He has prior law enforcement and firefighting experience from where he was born back in New Mexico, and then transferred over here to Arizona back in the 90s. So the reason why I had Mike on is Mike is currently running for Maricopa County Sheriff in the 2024 election cycle. I met him a few weeks ago. I was at a veterans roundtable and got to talk with him, meet him, hear his thoughts, hear his plans, hear his vision, hear his mission and all that stuff. And I liked what he had to say. So I invited him to come on and talk to everybody and give what he envisions MCSO, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, what it can be and what it would be under his leadership. This is a very long podcast. It's about 3.5 hours long. And I do apologize to both my viewers and to Mike as well that at about the 45-minute mark, my camera that was facing Mike died. I don't know what happened. I'm not technically savvy. It just decided to pretend that it was recording and not record. But all of the good quality audio I do have. So the content is there. So for about the first 45 minutes, you'll see, where we go back and forth. And then after that, I had to do a little thing where I just put a picture of him up. So for my audio listeners only, it won't bother them, but for the video ones, you're stuck with just seeing this face after about the first 45 minutes. But I'll go ahead and put all of his contact information in the show notes. He can be reached at crawfordforsheriff.com. But and I'll also have my contact information as always, so if you have any questions. So I hope you enjoy this one. And again, it's not often that someone who's running for political office sits down in long form content and lays out their plan and their vision and all that. So I hope you get something out of this. And in regards to that, this is an open call for any elected or aspiring elected officials and politicians. I'd love to have the other sheriff's office candidates come on and talk as well. So again, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in and having a listen. And I hope you all get something good from this one. Take care.
He threw some things out of the car right there. He's throwing some things out the passenger side there along the wall, the slow lane wall. 619, he's throwing dope out the window. We got bills and marijuana coming out.
619, I copy Bill. Marijuana coming out of the window at 2328.
All right, and we are live. Mr. Mike Crawford, thank you so much for coming down and making the trip. I'm really excited to sit and talk with you about everything that we're going to talk about here. If you wouldn't mind just giving yourself a little brief introduction as to what you're doing here.
So mostly just to connect with everybody and introduce myself and let people get to know me and just awaken people to what's going on in Maricopa County and with the sheriff's race. A lot of people don't understand how important it is. And
so let's start with that, though. Your name is Mike Crawford, and you're running for Maricopa County Sheriff.
So here's the shameless plug. I'm Mike Crawford. I'm tougher than lightning, and I'm here to fight for you. And that's for everybody.
That's awesome. It's good to hear. And I met you about just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, less than a month ago.
Yeah, and I sat down. We had a small little round table at an office. And I even put a post up about you because I liked what you had to say and what I heard, and which is why I was like, I've got to talk to you and get your information out to everybody. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, and that round table that we met at was advocating for veterans. I'm a big advocate for veterans, and that was just one of the round tables that we're doing. We've done one for advocating and raising awareness for the human trafficking and the kidnapping that is just rampant going on. The movie that came out is highlighting that, and it was, we had already scheduled it before we had even gone to see the movie, and it was just the perfect opportunity for that. And a lot of people were just shocked with some of the numbers. Some of the statistics that are going on. A lot of people don't know Phoenix is the number 2 capital of the world. For kidnapping.
So before we start diving into numbers and the big serious stuff, let's talk about you and what led you to where you are right now. Oh. And let's talk about let's give people, like I said, we don't have to dive, we can dive as deep as you want, but yeah. I'm saying, let's give the people a background as to why you're here and what led you to here in your career and your background, because it's a good one.
Yeah. So the big sigh is, it's a crazy story. I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide. So I was born and raised in Farmington, New Mexico. I'm a boy from the Southwest. It was up in the mountains, up in the Four Corners. Small town, very small town.
Still,
yeah, very, It's still one stoplight.
Yeah.
It's a township. It's not even actually a city.
Okay.
And rural community, a lot of farming, oil field, things like that. Near the Navajo Indian Reservation. I actually speak a little Navajo. I grew up there. Got to know the culture and respect the tribal communities. Was a volunteer firefighter. Grew up as a volunteer. Volunteerism is a huge part of my life. I started that at about the age of 14. Was a volunteer firefighter until I joined the Air Force. Left New Mexico. First time I ever flew on a commercial airplane was on the way to basic training.
Okay. Lackland.
Oh, Lackland Air
Good
Force
old
Base.
Lackland.
Yeah, San Antonio, Texas. And it was a great opportunity. I love the military. I have some of the greatest memories and most cherished memories of my life are the military. I wanted to go career. They gave me everything I asked for. The military was incredible.
That's awesome. What was your AFSE?
I was a crew chief.
Okay.
KC-135s and B-52s.
Okay.
Was how it was assigned. You can go either way. I got assigned to the KC-135s, air refuelers, tankers, passing gas. That's what I did for a living. And it was great. I was a mechanic. I was a Harley-Davidson mechanic. In high school, I took, we had trades back then.
Back then we did, yeah. You're a little older than I am, but still.
Small engine mechanics and motorcycle mechanics
Gotcha.
in high school. And I love working with my hands. I grew up with my grandfather, and he always worked on things, and I grew up doing that. And I have a great passion for that, and it's continued through my whole life. I still do mechanics and build things and have tons of projects at my house right now. So I went off in the military, loved it. And you know how the military works? Out of basic training, you get an opportunity to select your dream sheet of what bases you want to go to. So I selected all the bases in the southern United States, and I went to England for 3 years.
That's why it's called a dream sheet.
Military wisdom. They sent me on an overseas long tour to England for 3 years. That was in 1987.
Okay.
So Cold War. So I got to England the week after the bombing of Libya.
Okay.
And my unit took part in that. The KC-135s supported the F-111s that bombed Gaddafi. Then, I was there for the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Cool.
Which was an amazing point in history. I was in non-commissioned officer school when Bush declared war on Iraq. So I was there for Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Survived all that. Amazing part of my life. That ended. Came back to the United States. Got a dream assignment to Sacramento, California.
Okay.
Small unit. We had 5 aircraft. 41st Air Rescue, the PJs.
Oh, yeah.
The pararescue guys.
Was it Red Horse or anything like that?
No, we were the Jolly Greens.
Okay.
They painted big green feet on everything.
Yeah.
Those guys are crazy.
Yeah. Yep. Don't step on the green feet.
They don't exist anymore.
The green feet don't?
The 41st Air Rescue.
Gotcha. That particular.
55th Recon.
Okay.
I was a mechanic. I wasn't a PJ or special forces,
understood.
But we were assigned to them. So
It's all part of the same team. No, you're not jumping out of the plane particularly, but without you, the mission doesn't happen.
right, stolen valor is very important to me. I don't want to misrepresent who I was or what I did. I was a mechanic, and but I was assigned to special forces in a way, Air Force.
And I do the same thing. I say I was a vet that stayed in a skiff. I was in a bank vault. I didn't go overseas. I'm not trying to be Billy Badass here. I'm just trying to say that I've got a commonality with a bunch of veterans.
Exactly. And it was nice. It was really interesting. We were just talking a minute ago before we started recording. I sat next to Congressman Eli Crane last night, who was a Navy SEAL on Team 3. And what an incredible young man. And he was obviously special forces. And I kind of nudged him and, kind of joking around with him, hey, we're both special forces. And then I just kidding, I let him know, I was a mechanic. And he says, no, you guys were more important than we were. You kept us running, our vehicles. Without our vehicles, we couldn't go.
Right.
So, but anyway, came back to the States. I was assigned to Sacramento, California, went on a TDY, a little temporary duty assignment to Florida. And I was at Patrick Air Force Base. It's just south of Cape Canaveral.
Okay.
Cocoa Beach, Florida, Satellite Beach. Beautiful assignment. We were there for a week. I'm on the flight line working on my aircraft. They call and say, hey, there's a storm coming in. You guys need to get off the ramp. happens all the time. Rains a lot in Sacramento too. No big deal. Closing up the airplane. I'm closing the doors, and I woke up in the hospital. I'd been struck by lightning. Really.
That's insane.
So they apparently, they'd gotten me to the hospital in time. My crew chief and engine mechanic were upstairs, and when the plane was struck, I was touching the plane.
Upstairs, like
they were in the cockpit.
Oh, okay.
Directly above me. It's a Boeing 707.
Gotcha.
It's a
I don't
very
know
large aircraft.
airplane speak. So when you say upstairs,
they were up in the cockpit, and we had actually just refueled, and we were waiting for another truck. We'd put about 70,000 pounds of fuel on. We were waiting for another truck, and the tower had canceled our truck and told us to get off the ramp. So we were closing up to leave. We were actually going to go to the movies. I think Terminator or one of those movies back in that day. It was July 10th, 1991. And
a day you will never forget.
That pretty much ended my military career. I was active duty for 4 years and 7 months on a 6-year enlistment. At the time, I didn't see it as a blessing. It was pretty painful.
Yeah.
When you get electrocuted like that, normally, like when you bend your arm, one side flexes and the other relaxes.
Okay.
But when you get electrocuted, both sides, all the muscles flex.
Okay.
And flex hard, and it can crush your bones.
Wow.
So depending on, how it strikes you, lightning's kind of interesting. It just kind of jumps around, and it'll hit things and miss things through your body as it travels through you. And it entered through both hands, traveled through my arms. They believe it skipped from my elbow and hit me in the neck.
Okay.
And then, but it traveled all the way through my left. They're not positively sure, but I had a metal retainer bonded to the inside of my lower teeth because I had just gotten my braces out. It melted the wire and came loose. It burned my tongue, blew my glasses off. The muscles on both sides of my spine flexed as I was describing, and I have 3 compression fractures.
From the lightning strike itself?
They're called wedge fractures.
Okay.
To 3 of my thoracic vertebrae, and they're still that way.
Wow.
I have 9 compressed discs in my back and neck. A lot of injuries from that. And then, your internal organs don't take electricity very well like that. So I have arthritis in every joint in my body. It's called body-wide joint pain disorder because they just don't have any better name for it.
Gotcha.
Other than, dude, you're really messed up.
Body-wide pain joint disorder.
So I have military disability from it. But I'm not a quitter. I don't know if I just don't know better. I'm just tough as hell. I'd like to think so, but I'm not very self-deprecating that way. But I don't know. I just don't quit.
Yeah.
So I'm just not built that way. So I went back home. The military let me out, honorable discharge, everything. I asked to get out because I couldn't continue my job. I couldn't fly anymore.
What was, at that point in time, what was your capabilities at? 50% of what you were able to?
So I'm 90% disabled.
Understood.
Rating for the military. The biggest thing that kept me from doing my assigned job and duties, I picked up a heart murmur.
Oh, okay.
So I couldn't fly. I couldn't pass the flight physical.
Okay, understood.
And then, of course, broken back. It blew, whenever I got struck, it apparently blew me backwards, and I hit the nose landing gear. And there's 2 large actuators on the nose landing gear that are hydraulic, and that's what turns the nose gear so they can turn when they're on the ground. I caught one in the back of the head. So I caught a traumatic brain injury from that. PTSD, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a traumatic thing to go through.
Very.
Most of it was centered around, they call it extreme weather anxiety. So obviously, in extreme weather, like lightning storms and electrical storms, they used to upset me pretty bad.
Understood.
I didn't like to be outside. Static shock, things like that.
Okay.
You reach for a light switch and it pops you. Most people are like, ooh, hey. Sometimes that would put me down for 2 days.
Okay.
But I've gone through a lot of therapy, and the VA has been amazing. And that's
awesome.
helped me a lot.
That's different to hear.
Oh, yeah.
But that's good to hear.
Therapy is amazing. And I went through EMDR therapy.
Okay.
If anybody's ever been through that, wicked awesome. Basically, what PTSD is a memory that's tied to emotion.
Yep.
And the EMDR therapy severs the emotion from the memory. So just say, for instance, you're driving a car and somebody pulls out from the side of the road and you get in an accident. Then later on, when you're driving down the road again, you know, everything's healed up and you're fine, and you're in a car again and you're driving down the road, and somebody from a private drive pulls up and stops, and you see them and you react with fear from that memory of what happened. That's PTSD. That's a post-traumatic stress reaction, because you remember the previous collision and you've reacted with fear. So there's emotion tied to that memory. And whenever you go through the therapy, they sever and separate the fear or that emotion
of it all
from that memory. So you go through the therapy, and then hopefully through the therapy, after that, you're driving down the road and you can see somebody pull out and stop at a stop sign, and you can remember the previous collision, but you're not afraid.
Gotcha.
And you're like, oh, okay, they stopped, I'm good, you know. So with me, now if I reach for a light switch and it shocks me, you know, you walk across a carpet and you build up static electricity, which happens to everyone, and you walk up and it shocks me, I get the pop, you know, and now I'm like, oh, hey, got me.
Right.
But I've been able to switch it into a positive, and it almost recharges me now.
Okay.
You know, I can see it as a positive thing.
So, I don't want to be like, my ADHD kicks in and we go at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but you've mentioned, you know, dealing with the trauma. We're not even to what's alleged to law enforcement yet, but I want to interject a question here, and it's a question that came up from within the cannabis community. So, EMDR therapy in and of itself, I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I've never done anything else besides normal talk therapy. I haven't done EMDR. I haven't done psychedelics. But people are asking, what are your thoughts on psychedelics being used for therapy and also decriminalization?
So as far as psychedelics go, I really don't know anything about it.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'm just dead honest. Psychedelics, I have no idea.
Okay.
As far as marijuana goes, cannabis, I know it's helped a lot of people, and I'm for that. If it helps, I'm for it. I'm a very faithful, godly person, and I believe that everything that's on this earth was placed here for us to use. The Lord has provided everything for us that we need here. And everything against us is us. We get in our own way.
Agreed.
We get in our own way with everything. So everything that we need for our bodies, our soul, our spirit, and for each other has been placed here for us to use. Cannabis was placed here for us. Now, you could say the same thing for mushrooms and psychedelics and everything else, but I don't know much about those. And
fair enough.
Just being dead honest, I've never used mushrooms or anything like that, so I have no idea. I've heard, you know, like we were saying, you know, Joe Rogan and those guys, I've heard them talk about it, and I've heard they've had some amazing journeys and some amazing developments and awakenings using those types of things. But I honestly, I've never spoken to anybody personally that's used them and has been on one of those journeys or had those type of developments, so I don't know.
Gotcha.
But with cannabis, I do know people that have used them and have had amazing help from them. Some people have tried it and it just didn't work, but everybody's different. You know, everybody's chemical balance is different. Some people can use aspirin and it works. Some people it doesn't, you know. But aspirin is a man-made thing.
Right.
So, you know.
That's a pharmaceutical.
It's a pharmaceutical thing. CBDs work great. I am retired law enforcement. So if I wanted to, I could use cannabis.
Right.
I choose not to because of I am running for sheriff.
Right.
And I don't want to.
Okay.
It doesn't look right. For a lot of people.
So,
and honestly, I really don't need it, but I do use some CBDs like lotions and things like I was mentioning with my arthritis. Sometimes in my hands and my knuckles, my fingers get very painful, and there are some CBD lotions and concoctions, I guess you would say, that work very well to help with the joints in my fingers and my hands and my wrists. As you can, I just barely move my hands and fingers, and they pop and crack all the time. So, but those do help.
The one thing that annoys me about what I understand and know about law enforcement, and it unfortunately is the reality in which you just said, because in 2018, I started using medicinal cannabis for my back pain.
Correct.
And again, we talked about it. You have back issues and pain and all that good stuff. And, and I've got the back injury and all that. And when I started using it is when I stopped using alcohol completely and started using it for the back pain, but then also started recognizing that I was having psychological positives and I was having, good experiences and dealing with my emotions and actually connecting me to my emotions and having a good outcome. And so it annoys me that if we sat right now and I poured you a glass of whiskey, I don't know if you drink or not. So if I poured you a glass of whiskey and we were drinking it on this podcast and the whole world would see, nobody would bat an eyebrow. Nobody would bat an eyebrow. A Coors Light or whatever, nobody would bat an eyebrow. But if I started sparking up a joint and handed it to you, the whole world would lose their minds. And it's like, and the part that I'm trying to do and bridge the gap is show like, no, actually you should be using the cannabis and putting the alcohol down. But we can't make that switch yet for some reason because it's just not accepted.
Well, and some people will say, oh, that's bullshit. That's crazy. Well, here's an exact example. And sorry to bring up Joe Rogan again, but Elon Musk was on his show. They were drinking, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong because I've seen so many of his shows, but I think they did have some whiskey.
I think so.
And they were drinking some single malt.
Yep.
And then they sparked up. Absolute outrage.
And he had to go through drug testing for the federal government and all kinds of bullshit. He was targeted
by the SEC.
Yep.
Because he smoked not even a full joint.
Oh, he took a puff.
You gotta be shitting me,
right?
Man.
And
really, the federal government came after him.
And now that I use cannabis, it's
criminal.
Stupid. It is stupid. It's criminal. Yeah. Now that I use cannabis on a regular basis, and I understand how it affects me, it's like, no, this is a way better alternative to alcohol.
Oh yeah,
way better alternative. Like I don't even touch alcohol anymore. I'm California sober, so to speak.
Oh yeah. So and this is going to sound crazy. Well, maybe not, but alcohol is a poison.
It is 100%.
Yeah. Alcohol is a poison. So, and the easiest way I can explain it is, people say, you've heard, I broke the seal whenever you're drinking.
Yeah.
You drink a couple of beers. Oh, I broke the seal. What that is, in my understanding, and I was a DUI motor for a long, long time.
And we'll get into your police background here in a moment.
So my understanding, chemically in your body's reacting to dump the alcohol out of your system. So which it doesn't work that way. You have to metabolize the alcohol out, but your body reacts and it's trying to dump that alcohol out of your system. So you start urinating like crazy and you're basically just dehydrating yourself. Yeah. But that's why you pee so much whenever you drink alcohol. When you break the seal, your body's trying to get that poison out of your body. You don't do that with marijuana.
No.
Cannabis doesn't do that.
You drink a ton of alcohol.
Because it's a natural,
ton of water.
It's a natural thing.
And that's the part that, so I was also asked the question again, I want to go into your law enforcement career. So let's no, it's my fault.
I'm a tangent guy too.
I have ADHD. Like I'm bouncing around all over the place. Yeah, no, we're going to be in a world of hurt here in a few minutes. Yeah. But, okay. So military service, you said, and then now you left off on, you went to EMDR therapy, which to help with the PTSD of all that good stuff.
Well, that was just last year. So let's go all the way back.
Okay, so let's go all the way back.
1992. I got out of the military after my lightning injury. I healed up. So I got struck in 91 and then healed up from that. I was back in California, healed up from that, asked to get out of the military. They processed me out, went back home, got hired with the sheriff's office.
Back in Farmington?
Back in New Mexico, where I grew up. I worked for the San Juan County Sheriff's Office for 5 years. In that time with the Sheriff's Office, I was a patrol deputy. You got to start out on the road. My first FTO was a former New Mexico State Police officer. Those guys are badass.
Those New Mexico guys would just shoot at you. There was a time and a place that they would just shoot at you.
They shoot everybody.
I remember I was on the Arizona side, and DPS would be like, just stop and let it go into New Mexico.
You get close to the New Mexico border, you call NMSP, you call them, and as soon as they hit the border, they get shot.
Yep.
Yeah. So they still don't play. Those guys are the academy for all of New Mexico is in Santa Fe. It's elevation 7,000 feet. No joke.
Yeah, you're going to be good at running.
The sign is right across the street from the academy. It's 7,000 feet elevation. I went in the wintertime. Don't do that. We ran a lot in the snow through washes, and it was tough. So you're either a cadet or a recruit.
Okay.
New Mexico State Police are recruits.
Okay.
They shave their heads. They put them in the black pants without the stripe. You have to earn that silver stripe that they wear. They get the boots and the whole deal. They're on one floor. And every other agency in New Mexico is a cadet. They're on another floor. They do not mix.
Yeah,
it's just like, and sorry, Marines, they treat them very much like they do Marines.
Understood.
It's very, very tough. And as far as I know, they still do this. If you're a New Mexico State Police recruit, if you fail out or they fail you out or you leave the academy, they hold a funeral for you.
Oh, wow.
There's a grave with a cross. They take your nameplate off your desk and they put it on the cross and they hold a funeral service for you because you are dead to them.
Wow. I would hope that would be for like academic dishonesty or stuff like that, or
everything.
They're just done.
You're dead to them. People come over because their main headquarters is there. Admin comes over and stands around and they hold a funeral service.
Wow.
It's no joke. But anyway, so I went through the sheriff's office, went through the academy and everything, had a great time. Was a patrol deputy, and then I was assigned to a DEA task force, so I was a special agent with the DEA. Interesting that I'm here. But it gave me a lot of insight. I was undercover for a little over a year and a half.
HIDA? Were you on the HIDA task force? Or was this just something else?
It's region.
Okay,
Region
gotcha.
2 narcotics is where I worked. So it covered basically Farmington, Aztec, Bloomfield in that county, and then Gallup and Grants area. So a lot of reservation. I was cross-certified onto the Navajo Indian Reservation. We worked some undercover operations on the nations, which was handy because I did speak a little Navajo. I still do a little bit. I've lost so much because I've been down. I've been away from my people for so long. But it gave me a lot of insight into how the federal government law enforcement works and how it doesn't work. It was pretty disgusting, honestly. And it was really dirty. And I couldn't do it anymore. I had to leave. I asked to leave. It got to where I'd go home and take a shower and I just couldn't wash it off.
No.
And
what were some of the things that were bothering you about it?
So the biggest thing that pissed me off and just disgusted me, and I morally couldn't do it anymore. So let's say you've got a guy selling marijuana to cancer patients, and this is kind of a gross misstatement, and it's kind of overblown, but this explains it pretty well. Let's say you've got a guy selling marijuana, and to just regular everyday people or cancer patients or people that need it for medical reasons. This is, back in like 93, before medical marijuana.
So it's all bad, right? It's all bad.
Everything was illegal and everything, back then. But let's say it was for good purposes, somebody suffering from whatever. And, but he's just selling some joints here and there. And you've got some guy selling cocaine to kindergartners, let's say. Obviously that's a gross overstatement, but, the guy selling cocaine owes money on everything and nothing's paid off. He's living in a trailer park, and he's got a beat up Chevy pickup that he owes money on. But the guy selling marijuana joints here and there is his car's paid off. Say he's got a nice Corvette and it's paid off. We were directed to sell and make all of our arrangements in, say, Safeway parking lot or a grocery store parking lot or everything, so that they had to meet us in their vehicle. So it was a, quote, furtherance of the crime.
You're talking civil asset forfeiture.
On the nose.
Yep.
I wasn't allowed to go after the guy selling cocaine because we weren't able to take away his beat up Chevy truck because he owed
no
money on it. And we weren't able to take it. And my boss wanted to drive the other guy's shiny Corvette because we could seize it. So I'd have to go after the guy selling a couple of joints so we could seize his car. And the guy selling, kilos, we wouldn't work that case. It was not a priority because there was nothing to seize. It was infuriating.
It's all about the money.
It pissed me off.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's, a little grandiose story, but it's not far from the truth.
I can back up what you're saying. We got a call to do a whisper stop for the feds, and I stopped the vehicle and then did what we needed to do or were instructed to do. And then the agent came up behind me, who was an ICE agent. He was a federal agent, so all under the same authority. Yeah. And he was driving a 1-ton Dodge Ram, brand spanking new 1-ton Dodge Ram pickup. That was probably back in like 2010 or 12, an $80,000 truck. And so we were chit-chatting on the side of the road, and he told me that he wanted that truck. So they exact same thing, and he busted him. The dude brought a gram of weed to show, as show the money, show the drugs. And they arrested him and they seized the truck. And the agent specifically told me the story. He's like, "Yeah, man, we wanted this truck, so we went after him." An exact same story. Yeah. So you're not exaggerating. Yeah.
I couldn't do it anymore.
I understood.
So I went back to patrol for a little bit, and then I got assigned to the civil division because sheriff's office works criminal and civil things. And I was the extradition fugitive deputy.
Okay.
So I hunted bad guys, bad guys. And I did all the extraditions for the sheriff's office. So anybody with a felony warrant that got picked up in another jurisdiction, anywhere in the United States, I would go get them and bring them back to meet justice, So I'd fly all over the country and bring people back or drive, whatever.
Were you with the marshals at all, or just through the department?
It was just me. I was a one-man show.
Gotcha.
So I did that for about 9 months. And I'd been with the sheriff's office for 5 years. I was topped out in pay, and it was terrible. Sheriff's offices are notorious for not being the best paid agencies, but sheriff's office is passion. It's a different law enforcement agency than any other. It's just different. There's city cops, there's sheriff's offices, and then there's the state police. Troopers gonna troop. I love my troopers. And it's just like in the military. Air Force gives
100%.
Navy a hard time. And law enforcement's the same way.
100%.
We dig each other all the time, and it's out of love. And it's same with police and fire. We bag on the fire department all the time. They bag on us. The best fire department jokes I've ever heard, I heard from the fire department.
That's because everybody's jealous, and everybody that's a cop was like, "We should have been firemen, and we're just going to harp on you now."
Well, I got lucky, so I've kind of done it all. I was a fireman, a volunteer, which is the best way to do it. It's like college basketball versus pro.
Gotcha.
College does it out of passion.
Right.
Pro does it for the money. But I love fire service. I love, the military, every branch. My uncle was a World War II and Korean vet. He got 2 Purple Hearts on Iwo Jima. I love my Marines. I take Marines with me everywhere I go. And thank God for people that join the Marine Corps.
Amen.
I didn't have to. But I mean, all first responders, all military, God bless you, every one of them. And I love them all. And we're all family.
Amen.
But we got to keep up the banner. We got to, because that's what keeps us fueled. But so anyway, I was looking for better opportunities. When I was a kid growing up, we used to run home from the bus stop. I grew up on a county road out in rural northern New Mexico, and we'd run home and watch Chips and Knight Rider and BJ and the Bear. All the good shows back then. And I always wanted to be a motorcycle cop.
Okay.
I'm brain damaged, I know.
I heard you and Frank. That TBI is coming in.
I heard you and Frank talking. And the shiny boots and the 2 wheels, man, that had to be the coolest. I've been on a motorcycle since I was 5 years old.
Okay.
And so I was looking around, and like I said, I was doing extraditions all over the place.
Gotcha.
And one trip, I was, a lot of people from Farmington get arrested down here from Maricopa County. And I did a ride along with Glendale PD. And we were riding around and man, they were chasing bad guys and it was just like TV. And we went into the jail. Well, I was riding with I was riding with an officer, Bill Johnson. I love that guy. What an amazing cop.
Was he a deputy as well?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
He may have been a long time before he got with Glendale. Okay. I can't remember.
Different guy.
But he was with Glendale for a long time. He may still be. Bill's such a great cop. What a passionate, amazing guy. And hell of a guitar player, by the way. But he's such a great guy. And oh wait, I'm mixing him up with somebody else. Anyway, he is such a great guy. And when I was doing the ride along with him, we went into the jail and we're sitting there, and it was a funny ass thing back then. Everybody called everybody Jim.
Yeah.
And hey, Jim, what are you doing? Oh, I'm good, Jim. How are you? And it was just funny because, cops, we all have our last name on our shirt, and we don't reveal our first names.
Right.
So it was just the joke. Everybody just called everybody Jim. And hell, I was on a squad, and my first name's Mike. There were 5 Mikes out of 7 guys, but we all called each other Jim, and it was just a joke, but it was just banter,
Yeah.
So we're in the jail and everybody's joking around, and they were having so much fun. I was like, damn, I got to be part of this. And they were a family. And, the sheriff's office where I came from, we had 75 sworn deputies.
It's a little itty bitty department.
The whole county, I think the population of San Juan County at the time was around 220,000 for the whole county. And it's a big county. Not quite Maricopa, but pretty big.
Gotcha. Land-wise, but not people-wise, obviously.
Yeah, a lot of it was barren desert. A lot of it was reservation that we didn't patrol. But, 220,000 was the whole thing. Hell, Glendale is 220,000. Just the city of Glendale. Well, hell, it's probably more than that now. But Glendale was a pretty big department, and I'm like, man, these guys are having so much fun. Then I saw how much they were getting paid. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
What year about is this roughly?
This was 97.
Okay, all right.
So I tested. I put in my application and everything, handwritten, I think in pencil, and I applied, and they had 8 positions open. Show up at the testing. In Glendale, there were 3,000 people showed up at the testing. And I was like, oh, crap. I don't have a shot at this. I'm just a small town podunk deputy. I got hired. I was like, right on. So started with Glendale in 97. They made me go through the academy all over again. So after my lightning injury, I've been through 2 police academies.
Okay.
With a broken back and all my issues. I guess I'm pretty tough. I just don't quit.
Did you go to Aaliyah?
Yes.
And Aaliyah was one of the most physically demanding because it's built into the side of South Mountain.
Oh, yeah, up and down South Mountain.
Yep, so you're running up and down that every day.
I blew out a knee, so I had to recycle and start again. Not all the way at the beginning. I think it was around week 9, so I had to start again. So I was in 2 academy classes and finally finished and made it all the way through. And South Mountain. PTSD flashbacks.
You're right. No, I get it.
Up and down that shale hill. What the hell was that thing called?
Trail run?
Yeah. Well, the trail run was fun, but Hemorrhoid Hill.
Okay.
The shale hill that you had to go up and down. That sucked. So anyway, made it through all that. Got on with Glendale, and so when I left the sheriff's office, I said I was topped out there in pay. I came to Glendale. I got a $10,000 a year raise to go to the academy.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
And the cost of living in Arizona back then was not that high. It was pretty manageable.
It was maybe a little bit cheaper than where I came from. Started out here, great opportunities. As soon as I told them in my interview with Glendale, I'm going to be a motor. That's why I'm coming here. And they laughed at me. And because it was hard to get on with motors. That's an elite unit.
It is.
And
for a traffic unit, it absolutely is.
It's elite. And we had 21 motors at the time. And I tested and as soon as I could, and I got accepted.
Nice.
And I went through motor school, and I'm going to brag a little bit. I'm still the only person who's been through the Glendale Motor School, which is hard. Motor school is the hardest thing you can do in law enforcement. SWAT guys, I don't care.
I beg to differ, but
you can hut all you want. Motor school sucks. Never went down.
Nice.
In motor school, and graduated, went into motors, and I was a motor for 18 years.
Okay.
And I just retired 2 years ago. So I was in law enforcement 28 and a half years.
So the majority of your time here in just Arizona was traffic.
Yeah.
So Title 28 pretty well here in Arizona.
I taught traffic law in the academy. I know it a little bit.
Yeah. And so that's a long time on a bike.
Yeah. Best job I ever had.
That's a long time on a bike. And I was asked to go to motor school because I used to ride motorcycles. Yeah. And again, I was like, no, I don't want to mix business and pleasure at the same time. And I did criminal interdiction.
Yep.
So I just used the traffic to get into the cars, to find the people and find all that stuff.
The best way.
It is.
Yeah.
This is a conversation that's very difficult for people to understand about law enforcement in particular. Like, why are they pulling me over? Because I don't have tags or this or that. Like, just leave them alone.
Why aren't you catching real criminals?
Right. And it's like, well, I've caught kidnappers, homicide suspects, human trafficking, drug smuggling, all off of minor traffic. I've caught terrorists. Yep. All off of minor traffic violations. Yeah. And that's
Jason McVeigh.
Yeah. Taillight, headlight, or a taillight, or stoplight, or something like that.
Stoplight.
No. Yeah. And this is the thing where I'm trying to show I haven't really had a lot of conversations as to why do cops actually do what they do, but it's to show that, more like I show more of the human side, but this is the reasons why, because you catch those people doing those things.
I mean, everything, they speed away from the crimes.
They drive everywhere.
Whoa, yeah. DUI suspects will have bags of dope on them. Yep. And it's not because we're so good, but damn, we're lucky.
So you were probably very heavily focused on DUIs.
Extremely. Okay. I was the DUI instructor.
Okay.
Motor. I was the senior guy on the squad, and I was a motor instructor.
Okay.
For a long time, 12 years, I think.
So you just retired 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So you were still out doing the same thing up until the day you retired?
No. So whenever I started my sheriff's campaign in 20, I had to give up the bike.
Oh, okay.
One of the hardest days of my life.
Gotcha.
I get emotional about it because I wanted to be a motor until I retired.
Gotcha.
I wanted to do 20 years on a motor, just as a milestone. But priorities get in the way, And I prayed a lot about it. I prayed a lot because it was a big, big decision in my life to give that up, because it was a big passion. It was the whole reason I came to Arizona. It was the whole reason I tested with Glendale and came here, moved my family, everything.
18 years isn't bad, though.
Oh, man, it was awesome. And I'm not joking. It was the best job I ever had. And a lot of people, now I'm campaigning. They're like, why didn't you ever promote? Because I had to give up the bike.
You had to get off the bike.
And it was that was a hard decision. A lot of people pushed me. Man, you'd be a great sergeant. You'd be a great this. Well, I was a sergeant in the military. And I was really good at it, and I really enjoyed it. I love being a leader, but you don't have to have rank to be a leader. And a lot of people get caught up on that. They don't realize that. Rank doesn't make you a leader. Those stripes or bars or, titles don't make you a leader. And just because you have them doesn't make you a leader.
Agreed.
And you don't have to have those to be a leader. I mentored hundreds of officers. I was a training officer for a long time. I was a field training officer for a long, long time. I was a motor instructor for a long, long time. I believe, and I'm thinking about it, every motor with Glendale, I trained, or I trained the person who trained them. The senior motor instructor for Glendale right now, I trained him.
Nice.
His predecessor is still there. He stepped down as senior motor instructor, but he's still there. I trained him. The DRE instructor there, I trained him. A lot of the other agencies, we work with Peoria and Avondale and Goodyear. I trained a lot of those guys. The guys that are instructors there, I trained them. God, I'm old. And I tell a lot of people, I do hot rods. Jamie and I have a 65 Shelby Cobra. It's a kit. Obviously, I was a cop. I can't afford a real $1 million car. But we have a lot of projects and stuff. This isn't gray. It's chrome.
Gotcha. Nice.
But I earned this, you know. And I look back on my career with Glendale and with the sheriff's office even, and I'm very proud of the people in the agency that I touched and mentored. And I really hope that I led them on a good path, and made them good cops and conscientious officers. And one of the driving focus points of my life is one of the things I've always said is, and one of the things that's always driven me is my whole goal in life is just be a better person today than I was yesterday.
Yeah, that's a good
and
goal
I'm
to
not
have.
trying to be better than you. I'm not trying to be better than that guy. I'm not trying to be better than anybody else. I'm just trying to be a better person than I was yesterday.
That's a good goal to have.
And that's it. I'm just a basic that guy.
So on the law enforcement front, 18 years on a bike.
Yeah.
Get off the bike in 2020 because you said you had to start your campaign.
Yeah. I needed my nights and weekends off.
Understood.
To campaign.
So I want to ask you two questions here. And again, one of these questions is, again, coming from the community that I reached, the cannabis community says, hey, this is what I'm going to have. What are your thoughts on regarding, so you were doing DUI enforcement and everything with when medical marijuana came into effect, was recreational? I don't think it would have been, okay.
Right at the end, yeah.
Gotcha. So what happened regarding your evolution in law enforcement and DUI enforcement in the cannabis world? And again, this is a cannabis podcast, so I got to ask these questions.
So a lot of people get hung up on it, and it really didn't change anything that we did.
Did you guys see the number of DUIs regarding cannabis go up?
Yes. And I fault the cannabis industry for that.
Okay.
And because they honestly were, I think their focus was screwy, and I don't blame them, but they were too profit driven, and they weren't focusing on their customers.
Okay. Still to this day.
Damn it, you're doing it for the good of the people.
Yes.
So look after the people that you're trying to take care of. Their messaging is horrible, and I talk to people with NORML all the time.
Okay.
I'm very good friends with the lobbying side of NORML, and I talk to them all the time. Please, more advertisement. Don't smoke and drive.
Right.
Don't drink and drive. Don't smoke and drive.
Right.
I know marijuana is legal, but don't smoke and drive. So it's too many times. And let's go back. I was on a motorcycle. Let's say I'm riding behind you. Marijuana stinks.
It does from a mile away.
Oh my God. Now I can drive behind somebody that's drinking. I can't smell it.
Right.
But if I'm driving behind somebody that's smoking, holy crap, I can smell it 10 cars back.
You can.
And I'm on a motorcycle. I can weave through traffic like nobody. It's a joke. We used to, we were predators, and we thought of ourselves that way. And we would say, we'd be in the station doing our paperwork when we're done, and I'd say, hey, to the guys, hey, I'm going to go put my fin in the water. I was a shark.
No.
And I'm going to go get in traffic. I was a shark in traffic. I'm going to go put my fin in the water. I'm a shark. And that's what we did. My fin is in the water.
Looking for DUIs.
I'm in the water in traffic, and I'm doing this through traffic. And that's what we did. And I was looking for people swerving. I'm looking for all those cues of people not maintaining their lane, all the DUI cues, impaired cues, and I can smell marijuana. You know, so I'm looking for it. And dude, if you're driving down the road smoking weed, you're advertising.
You're dumb.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
Now, there is an argument that's being made that, and there are certain lawyers that say this too, that are open advocates for cannabis, and I disagree with them. They're like, oh, you can't get, you're medicated on marijuana. You're not under the influence. Like, there are people who make this argument, and I've said, I think that's total, absolute, complete bullshit. There is a difference. As a medical user, there absolutely is a difference between using enough to be medicated and not have back pain and be clear-headed and all that, and then I can go overboard and I can get, I can impair myself.
Well, it's just like somebody. Okay, let's say you have you're up for a root canal, and your doctor says, okay, before your appointment, I want you to take this Valium. And they give you a prescription for a Valium, one, and they say, I want you to take this, and this happens all the time. 30 minutes before your appointment, I want you to take this Valium, so when you come in for surgery, it's in your system, and then we can do your surgery. Don't drive.
Right.
Well, then something falls through. The person who's supposed to drive you backs out, or, they have some kind of emergency. You take your Valium and you drive yourself. And then 5 minutes before you get to your doctor's office, you rear end somebody at a traffic light because that Valium hits and you're blasted. You're impaired.
Absolutely.
You're medicated.
You're medicated.
And it's a legal prescription, and it's a legal prescription. You took it legally, but you drove. You're impaired.
Yep. I agree.
You can't do that.
I do agree.
It's just and I don't care. When I was a motor looking for impaired drivers, that's all I was looking for. Impaired drivers.
Right.
I didn't care what was impairing them.
It doesn't matter if it's Benadryl, NyQuil, caffeine, whatever the case may be.
If they're impaired, they're impaired.
Were you a DRE?
No.
Okay.
That's the one thing that I didn't have as a qualification.
Okay.
Because I didn't care. I didn't need it. I didn't think.
I agree with that statement. You should not be making an arrest if you don't have the probable cause to show impairment.
Exactly.
And if you don't have the there are many times where I was on the fence, and it's not that I second guessed my own abilities, but I wasn't going to jam someone up for maybe or maybe not.
Yep.
And I've sat on the side of the road and said, call a tow truck. Exactly. I'm going to wait with you, and I'm going to wait for that tow truck to show up.
And if I wasn't sure, I didn't arrest somebody.
Right.
Because I had too much to lose and they had too much to lose. And I'm not going to put my career on the line or everything that they have to lose on the line on I'm not sure.
There's a lot that gets lost, particularly on DUIs. DUIs are very serious here in Arizona. It's a life changer.
Expensive.
It's expensive. It's a life changer. It will change your finances.
It ruins people's lives.
It does. It does. And I want that message to get out. Like, don't drive impaired.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid.
Well, and I'm not going to make it on me.
Right.
It's not going to be on me. It's going to be on them.
Agreed.
And I'm not going to cross that line. And I never did. And if I was so I'm a motorcycle cop. I'm out there writing tickets. And I'm a baseball guy a lot. Somebody runs a red light or it's close. Tie goes to the runner.
Gotcha.
If it's too close, I'll give it to him. If I'm out there working traffic and somebody's speeding and I work Bell Road a lot.
Okay.
And it's 6 lanes, 3 each way, and sometimes 4 each way. And if there's just too many cars and it's going to put me in a little bit of danger to pull out and chase somebody, I'm not going to do it.
It's traffic.
I'm not exactly. And I'm not going to put myself in danger just to stop a speeder.
Right.
Because it's not worth it to me to put my life in danger to chase somebody. Now it's a dangerous job no matter what.
It is.
But, we take inherent risks anyway.
The risks
I'm riding a motorcycle.
The reward outweighs the risks.
So I'm not going to do it. But we have to take risks anyway. And, I got almost run over 10 times a shift. But that just happens. There's 2 types of motors. Those that have been down and those that are going to be down. In my 18 years, I went down 3 times.
Okay.
Worst injury I got out of it was a cracked rib. I do bounce.
That's not too terrible. That's not good.
Bad. That ain't bad, dude. I consider myself very blessed and very lucky. Thank God my guardian angels were able to keep up with me.
You must have a BMW then, because they're not that fast.
Oh yeah, they are. The new ones, those new 1250s are wicked. But I mean, I started out on the KZ1000, the old rattle traps.
Yeah, iconic police bike.
Oh my God. And then we went to Hondas and then BMWs. And then my very last bike I rode was the new 1250.
Okay.
Wicked. Those Germans can make a motorcycle.
They can engineer some stuff.
The biggest thing on impairment is people say, well, what was their blood alcohol level? I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
This freaks people out. I don't care. If they're impaired, they're impaired. And that's all I have to prove.
I want we do, like, everybody understands and agrees though that, and I know that there's the people that say it's pseudoscience and this or that or blah 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 blah, like about the alcohol limit of 0.08.
Yeah.
It is generally mutually agreed upon by the science community, the criminal defense side and the prosecution and law enforcement, that at 0.08 or above you are impaired, regardless. The problem on the cannabis side though is that how many nanograms per milliliter means what? Means this, means that. That's why there's no per se limit, thank God.
Yeah.
Especially for your medical users who use, heavy doses.
On a regular basis.
They're always going to have some level of THC in their system.
Well, and there's a lot of argument about tolerance too.
Correct.
So if you're a once a week user or an everyday user, people's tolerances are different. There hasn't been enough studies on male to female, on body mass, on body fat. There's just too many variables out there. And one of the biggest things is the damn federal government's in the way. It's a Schedule 1, and they're not doing enough studies because it's still a Schedule 1. It's not open because of the schedule to studies.
Right.
Medical studies like it should be.
Did you hear what the Department of Health and Human Services just came out and said just a few days ago? So we're September 12th, something like that? Yeah. Just a few days ago, the Department of Health and Human Services on the federal side suggested that they finally reschedule cannabis, and they officially gave that report over to the DEA.
No.
So it is,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God, finally.
Yeah. So it's in the DEA's hands right now.
Somebody's waking up.
Yeah. Somebody's waking up to actually reschedule it.
Let's hope they do, because there needs to be more research.
Yes.
More information is always better.
So I'm just going to ask you an open-ended, you don't have to answer this question, but if it's rescheduled and the thoughts and minds start changing, would you, again, you don't have the authority, I understand that, but hypothetically,
I can give an opinion.
Would you be okay of deputies and officers in the state of Arizona using cannabis off duty?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh, I don't know. So, and this is where I'm coming from. So my wife and I are equally yoked. And if you're biblical, you understand what that means. My wife served 2 terms on Arizona Post Board.
Okay.
So,
which is, I would love to talk to her too.
Oh yeah. And so Post is Police Officer Standardized Training Board. They're the board that sits over the certifications of all law enforcement in Arizona, all certified law enforcement. So any discipline, and all training standards and all hiring standards. They set the standard how many times you can smoke marijuana, how many times you can or can't use cocaine or anything before getting hired. All hiring standards, all training standards at the academy, how many hours you have to do through your career to maintain your certifications, how many hours you have to do in the academy on each topic.
Defensive
how fast
tactics.
You have to run the mile and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, everything.
Standards for everything.
Everything. So she sat on that board for 2 terms under Ducey. And then when we got the new governor, she was relieved. And there's I think the person who took her spot is a restaurateur from Tucson.
Okay. Okay. not a lot of background in civil service or public safety.
Damn. So I have, with the time she served there, I was able to experience a lot of the things that she went through with different cases. Officer A did this, Officer B did that. A lot of the things she advocated for while she was on the board was officers and upper officers, captains, lieutenants, command staff being held at the same standard. Mm-hmm. So Officer A did this offense. Lieutenant B did the same offense, and they'd say, "Oh well, but Lieutenant B is a good guy. I know him. I played golf with him or whatever. We should kind of let him slide." And she was a staunch, hardcore, absolutely not. She held everybody to the same standard, no matter what their rank,
as it
privilege,
should be,
friendship, relationship with anybody was, and that was a hell of a fight she put up. And her last statement to the board when she left was to maintain that. And we both believe that very much. Everybody should be held to the same standard. And every officer should be held to the same standard as every civilian. So we believe in equality. And, Lady Justice has a blindfold. And that's for everyone.
Yep.
I don't care where you came from, where you live, who you love, what color you are, what language you speak. I don't give a damn. Everyone should be treated the same. And that is with respect, first of all. And I've always done that, and I'll always believe in that. And that's why I had a very, very great, fulfilling career. And I made a lot of friends. I've arrested many people that thank me.
Yeah, I understand that.
And I've been in brawls with people. And later on, they apologized and they thanked me for arresting them. And that freaks me out sometimes, and it freaked them out. But you treat people correctly, always. And you don't take it personally because, when people would scream at me, spit at me, shoot at me, it's not me. It's not this.
Right.
It was the uniform. It was the authority that I portrayed or, represented. And I always knew that. And I always approach people and approach situations that way. And it's like with cannabis, there's a lot of times, I've ground a lot of weed into the ground with my foot. Obviously that was before body cameras. But I welcome body cameras. Whenever they came along, it was a good thing.
So two things. One, I'm going to take that as they should be treated equally under the law.
Absolutely.
So equally under the law. Two, before legalization, before medicinal and all that good stuff, I ground a lot of weed into the dirt too, because I wasn't going to ruin some 18-year-old's life over a gram of weed. I wasn't going to put them on. And then also another story came out, if you haven't heard, about how Task, the Task in Maricopa County, was basically, I don't remember, they were accused of mismanaging money, but basically it was just a total sham. Like this report just came out. I don't want to overspeak what I'm saying. Yeah, I'll get that information.
I've seen a lot of people through Task.
Yeah, and I did too, man.
And
I did too.
Honestly, I think it worked for a lot of people.
Agreed. But it was the mismanagement of the money and the funding on that aspect.
On their fines that they were paying in?
So, yes. And regards to my question, terrible. It is. That's the part of the government I can't stand, is the fraud. But in regards to the cannabis and officers, through Arizona Normal, that I'm on the board on, right. I've had officers from New Jersey contact me, and I've told the story before. And the New Jersey Attorney General came out with, when it was legalized there and all that, over the last year or 2 years, said that we are not going to test our officers for THC.
Yeah.
And I have communications with a few officers and some detention guys that have said we are trying to get this okayed. One is a lieutenant, and they've sent me emails saying, dude, what were we doing? Like, this was stupid. Like, these guys are, one edible at night, they're sleeping like a baby. They've stopped drinking. Like, their lives have improved. Well, and see,
I'm going to say I don't have an issue with that. And the reason I'm going to say that is because I know it works.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm basing it.
Yeah.
I said earlier, I have a lot of, a fire service. They don't test.
They do not.
And I have a lot of friends in the fire service. I consider them family. And there are a lot of agencies in the Valley. I'm obviously not going to dime anybody, but there are a lot of injuries in our job and in fire service and everything else. We have hard service. We have a hard job, physically demanding. We wore 30 pounds of gear,
Yep.
Getting on and off that bike every day, planting that foot and rotating off that bike 50 to 100 times a day is hard on the body. My hips are done. Fire service, wearing that bunker gear. And
thank you.
Up and down those stairs, and just their training alone is just punishment. Those guys work out a lot. They get to work out on duty. Some law enforcement agencies get to, and the sheriff's office will. And I'm making that promise right now. I'm looking you right in the eye. I will make sure that happens because it's a benefit to everyone. But I don't have an issue off duty. If someone needs that for a medicinal purpose, I don't have an issue with it. And I don't think testing needs to occur. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of resources. It's a stressor on employees and officers that just doesn't need to happen. I really don't see a need for it. And I hope Post comes around and can reevaluate things, and with more information, with the new information coming out, there's more testing that comes available, and we can open our eyes a lot to see what happens. And like, when you and Frank were talking, I was screaming and cheering whenever he was talking about they don't follow CompStat.
Right.
Oh
right.
my God.
And for the public,
Stats.
that's the statistics of who officers have made contacts and arrests and traffic violations and this and that. And it's a micromanagement.
Oh my God. It's such a pain in the ass. And it's, in my personal opinion, in my professional opinion, it's absolutely a waste of time and resources.
There's a movie, or not a movie, a television show back on HBO called The Wire. It was actually probably the best thing ever, and like one of the things throughout the entire show was the CompStat, talking about reducing crime and this and that. It was just a bunch of
Blue Bloods.
bureaucratic.
They talk about it all the time.
Bullshit.
Oh yeah, CompStat briefing will be over in a little bit.
That
Chief,
shit's
and
real.
They talk about. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's stupid bullshit briefings where the middle management goes in and tells the upper management how good they're all doing, and then upper management gets to yell at them for not doing as good as they should do.
I have a really good story about that, and I won't tell it because it dimes somebody out that's still working.
So, right now, I have got to use the restroom. So let's take a 5-minute break.
Let's take a pause for the cause.
Yeah, let's take a pause for the cause. I'm going to leave everything running though. So
Okay.
I'm going to use the restroom real quick because again, it's everything that I'm saying right now, I'll edit out. So take a 5-minute break because I want to transition. I think this is a perfect transition into Sheriff Mike Crawford.
Okay.
So I'm just going to leave everything running.
Awesome. You asked me about officers using cannabis.
So let's get back into it.
You would ask me about officers using cannabis off duty, and this is a story I'll relate and kind of where I base my thoughts and feelings on that.
So we're back, everybody. Just do a little segue back into it.
Yeah. So, a personal story. So my back was broken in 1991
From the lightning strike.
3 wedge fractures in my thoracic, and I've never had surgery for that. Obviously, tons of pain.
Right.
I have 9 compressed discs in my back. Some of my vertebrae grind on each other.
I'm going to stop. I'm going to not complain anymore about my back injuries.
Oh, yeah, no, please. It's fine. I understand. When I was a motorcycle cop, working DUI enforcement, and this is going to sound sacrilegious, okay? I was taking 7 Vicodins a day as a maintenance dose.
That's a very high maintenance dose.
I told every supervisor that I worked for, because I had to, it was policy, I am prescribed Vicodins. And I take 7 a day as a maintenance dose. On bad days, it could go as high as 10 or 12.
Right.
Now, I did that and was doing that for over 15 years.
Oh, my God.
Okay?
Oh, my God.
So, this is how stupid I am. I played ice hockey. I started at 30 years old. I'm a goalie. Now, I've already told you I was a motorcycle cop.
Right.
So, any law enforcement personnel out there will already know that I'm insane. And anybody that plays hockey will agree as a goalie, I'm really not smart. I like pucks shot at my face.
Gotcha.
And I would take them on the mask every time and laugh. Because if it hit my face, it didn't go in the goal. And I would laugh.
That's a winning attitude right there.
I had a $350 mask. It was very high quality to protect the grill. And yes, these are all my teeth. And I played hockey until my arthritis got so bad
Okay.
that I can't hold the stick for an entire game because my hand would get so painful. But towards the end of my hockey, quote unquote, career, I was really good. I was a really good goalie. And I was playing on up to 5 teams.
Is this here in Arizona?
Here in Arizona.
Interesting.
And up in North Peoria. And I was the go-to goalie. Anytime a team didn't have a goalie, they would call me.
Okay.
And I could respond in 15, 20 minutes, gear up, and play. I was good enough that all the teams I played on, they paid for my fees.
Oh, nice.
And it's not cheap.
That club
I
stuff
paid
is
for all
not
my
at all.
equipment, which is hella not cheap. I think my leg pads alone were $1,500.
Good Lord.
My mask was $300. I mean, the glove, the hockey glove, some of those are up to $200.
Jesus.
Just so piecemeal all that equipment
Right.
together. I was wearing about $5,000. So they would pay for my fees. I would bring the beer. A lot of Canadians, so there was a lot of Labatt's. And I can swear pretty well in French, thanks to those guys. I did learn a lot of that. But back to the original story. God, my side shoots. I was on duty, and it did not impair me. I will tell you that.
The Vicodin.
God's honest truth. I could take, because I had been on it for so long, I could take 5 Vicodins and feel nothing. Didn't affect me at all. Barely touched the pain. The biggest godsend that I've ever had, and I showed you, sorry, radio audience and TV audience, you can't see it, but technology is amazing. And I was very, very lucky. The neurologist that I see for pain turned me on to something absolutely amazing. I think they discovered it on some alien craft. It's otherworldly. I have a spinal cord stimulator.
No.
And, this is part of me being open with everybody. Like I said, I have nothing to hide. I have a spinal cord stimulator. I have a computer implanted in my back. It's the size of your key fob for your car. And the leads sit up in my thoracic, directly on my spinal cord.
Okay.
And they deliver microshocks onto my spinal cord, and they electronically block the pain signals from my lower body. So about from my rib cage down, all chronic pain is blocked electronically. So the way opioids work, they block the pain receptors in your brain.
Right.
Well, this electronically blocks the signals so they never even get to my brain.
Gotcha.
I haven't taken an opioid in 7 years.
That's amazing.
8 years now.
So
Sorry.
you have had that spinal cord stimulator on duty, ride the bike,
Yeah.
on the job, and it did not stop your it probably increased your functionality.
Absolutely.
Okay. It probably also psychologically increased your functionality as far as the mental aspect and not being drugged all the time.
No side effects. So opioids have side effects.
Absolutely.
Tons of them.
Do they
Tons
do?
of them. And now 8 years, I have no side effects.
That's
because
awesome.
I don't take any opioids. I'm allergic to Oxycontin, oxycodone. I used to break out in a rash, so all I could take was Vicodins. And, obviously anybody that takes pain medications, a lot of your audience has probably been through the ringer in that stuff.
Amen. Which is why I chose medical cannabis.
So here's the bitch. Here's the rub. They were fine with me taking 7 Vicodins a day.
Yep.
But if I would have taken a gummy on the weekend to help me sleep, they'd have fired me
They would have fired you.
and vilified me.
Absolutely.
I would have been a drug user.
Absolutely.
I'd have been a druggie. And a lot of officers would have viewed me as an absolute piece of shit.
I agree with
For it.
everything that you just said. Can you think back to how the Vicodin psychologically made you feel or not feel? Do you remember any of the aspects of that?
Well, for one, I was horrified to tell my boss.
Okay.
Because I don't know how they would react. Because I work for some pricks.
Yeah.
You know, there's those guys that, you know, they guzzle the Kool-Aid. And are they going to put it in my file? How's it going to look?
Right.
You know, it would be just like, are they going to label me a drug user? You know, are they going to label me as some kind of pain management issue,
right?
You know, some freak. Well, everybody knew, you know, about my story about the lightning strike. I was the only officer that worked for Glendale PD that was exempt from carrying a Nova stun device.
What do you mean?
You know how they used to have the stun devices before tasers came out?
That was before my time. So
okay.
I didn't know anybody in patrol. I got it in 06.
I'm old. So back in the day, before tasers came out, we had stun devices.
Okay.
The stun guns.
Okay.
I never had to carry one because part of the training, you had to get stunned. You will not approach me with an electronic device. I've never been tased. In the original training for tasers, you had to get tased.
Right.
You point a taser at me, I will draw down on you. You will not point a taser at me. To me, that's deadly force.
Well, and that right there, that is a whole nother societal aspect of a conversation that we can spawn off into.
Okay, let's go back to the reason. Why do they stun you or tase you during training?
So that you understand the effects of it and how it is completely incapacitating. And it's deadly force.
When you've been electrocuted, correct?
Oh, yeah.
You know what it's like to be electrocuted.
100%.
Dude, I know. You don't have to tase me. Right. I know. So once we got to talk about things reasonably, they're like, oh yeah, dude, you don't have to be tased. So I got to carry a taser. Later, I went through all the training without being tased because they were like, okay, yeah, dude, you get it. You can get on the stand and say, I have been electrocuted. I know what that feels like. Yeah. So, and I survived.
Yeah.
Now they had to revive me because mine was a lot more than a taser.
Yeah, it was a little more than 50,000 volts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What, gigawatts, Back to the Future, but excuse me. But yeah, so back to the topic. They were okay with me being on 7 Vicodins a day.
Riding a motorcycle.
And riding a motorcycle for a living at night. And they did check me for, they monitored me. And, my sergeant in the DUI squad was a DRE.
Okay.
And just for, giggles and shits, they would look at it and say, hey, I told him, hey, check me. Am I impaired in any way? Do you see any effects of opioids or anything in me? And no, they never did. And I've been through, because I helped train, with HGN, the eye test for everybody. The
horizontal gaze nystagmus.
And, I've been through everything. We did all the field sobriety tests and, because I helped teach all that stuff. So, and this was when I was on the Vicodins and everything and all my pain management with my broken back and in full uniform. And I could do all the field sobriety tests and I never showed any signs of impairment ever. And if I ever felt any way impaired, I would call off.
No.
Because there's times when my back hurts so bad, I just couldn't.
Right.
And I'd call off. That's what sick days are for.
Yep.
And luckily, I work for a great department that would allow that. And if you needed a mental day, man, if you just weren't feeling it, if you were having a bad day and you were just, if you woke up and you're like, man, I'm going to get in a fight tonight. I have a bad feeling. Tonight's going to be just a crap day. Yeah. It's not going to happen. You could call in and say, I need a mental day. And they'd give you a mental day off. So they're very supportive that way.
That is something that I got a cough button.
Thank you.
There's so many things to tackle right now that I want to tackle with. And one of them is moving into Mike Crawford for sheriff and why you believe you are the guy and your answers, and you're touching on a lot of things right now that I feel is that, like, one of the things that we touched about before on PTSD. My goal with this podcast is to help new officers and young officers. I'm not a police officer anymore. I haven't been a police officer since 2017. I smoke cannabis and I'm in the medical cannabis world. I don't long to be a cop anymore, but I loved being a police officer. I loved every bit of it. I loved the help that I gave people. I loved the community aspect of it. Sorry, just make sure everything's good to go. I loved the community aspect of it. I loved helping people. I loved catching the bad guy. I loved making the world safe. But I fell into the PTSD trap that I didn't know I was in. And one of the things that I always want to do and want to highlight is the mental health aspect of law enforcement. Right. And you have touched on several things regarding how you feel and stuff like that. And I did not work when I was at DPS, like I'll dime them out. You couldn't call in and take a mental day. You could, but you would be ridiculed. There was zero mental health care. There was zero caring about the individual officer. Okay. None.
I'm sorry.
And it sucks. And yeah, we had critical incident stress management teams, but in over a decade with them, I never once saw them come out. I was in special investigations.
Yeah.
I dealt with dead bodies all the time, officer-involved shootings all the time. The Sholo PD, Officer Darren Reed, that one was the one that pushed me over the edge mentally, and I don't know why. So, but I've dealt with all those issues, and cannabis has helped and all that. This is not a woe is me moment. This is getting to the heart of who you are. And the conversation that we did have before about getting to the heart of who you are, your thoughts for the sheriff's office moving forward, because we've covered a ton of your background.
Right.
And moving into Mike Crawford as the leader of one of the largest sheriff's offices in the country, and how do you make your people know that you care about them? How do we change that culture in law enforcement so we have mentally healthy people out there working, so that we have good management, so that we have officers that respond with the best intentions and mentally prepared to go, whether it's the lighter, softer touch or they got to take care of business? How do we bridge these gaps? What is your vision? How do you convey your message that this is who you are and this is what...
Me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So I'm not a bureaucrat. I haven't been behind a desk for decades. I was a non-commissioned officer in the military. I know how to lead people.
Yep.
I know how to lead them from the front. I'm a cop, but it's time for me to transition. I'm not looking to be a cop anymore. Be on the beat, working with the citizens as their cop. It's time for me to transition my experience to assist the officers and the deputies at the sheriff's office to be able to better do their job and support them. I think they're lacking a lot of support and a lot of leadership, and the leadership that they need, the leadership style that they need. I've worked very hard for my integrity and to maintain my integrity, and I'll never give up my integrity. I'm very proud of the men and women at the sheriff's office and what they've done and what they've gone through. They need a break.
Agreed.
They need some support.
Agreed.
I don't believe they're getting the support that they God honestly deserve and that they've earned. To be blamed for the drugs getting into the jail, and in my eyes, in a way, vilified for that, is just wrong. They need to be supported. They need someone who honestly cares and that's been there.
Yeah.
I've been on the street. I know what they're going through. I've been there. I truly understand as a cop and somebody who's been on the beat. I understand. I've been through it. I've in many ways recovered from it.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like I said, I was a volunteer fireman when I was 14 years old. I saw a lot of dead bodies.
Yeah.
I've been through therapy. I'm not, nobody's ever completely cured. Sometimes those faces come to the front.
Amen.
But I've dealt with them. And I know how. And I know how to help them. The people that work at the sheriff's office, need help. The taxpayers in Maricopa County need relief. There's millions of dollars being wasted. And a lot of that ties to the deputies, detention and patrol not being supported.
Right.
They need help. They need more. They need more people in the jail. They need more people on the street so that they're safe.
How do you balance with the world currently in regards to, now Arizona is a very conservative state for the most part. We're kind of slipping a little bit to the other way, but
It's getting scary.
But that has been eye-opening for me, diving into the cannabis world and becoming more liberal.
Right.
I'm a liberal in some. I'm fiscally conservative and socially liberal.
Okay.
So how do you take a tough on crime approach, yet also the kinder, gentler side? One of the questions that popped up is too, and I want to make sure I do answer it, is regarding the homelessness.
Oh yeah.
What can
It's a big problem.
Right. What can the sheriff's office do regarding the homelessness? So, and this is where this question is posed: is, how do you make sure your streets are safe, but then also not vilify people just to vilify people, or criminalize people just because they're a drug user?
Well, and that's a big problem. So, up in Yavapai, the sheriff up there is doing an incredible job, and it's a great model to follow. People that are living on the street, a lot of times, and I've worked with a lot of homeless people, and a lot of the areas that I patrolled were up in North Glendale.
Okay.
One of the most affluent neighborhoods in all of Arizona. Fentanyl is a huge issue up there.
Yep.
Just like everywhere else.
Yep.
Homelessness is a huge issue. A lot of the homeless people that I dealt with, and this is not a political statement, this is an actual fact from my own experience, choose to be homeless.
I agree with that statement.
I've personally offered them. And I knew these people because I contacted them almost every day. I knew them by their first name. I knew their dog's name. I'd get them dog food with my own money. I'd buy dog food. I'd get them a hot cup of coffee or a bottle of water and talk to them and offer them resources, because we have tons of resources that taxpayers pay for.
Yes.
And we try and help and offer them resources, try and get them someplace just to take a shower.
Yep.
And get them cleaned up, because, man, it makes you feel better.
Agreed.
And it'll help clear your mind, and it'll give you a positive outlook on life just to take a shower. And if I can offer somebody just an opportunity to take a shower and get their clothes washed at no cost and at no risk, I'm not running them for warrants. Just, hey, can I take you over here? You can take a shower, get cleaned up. They'll wash your clothes, maybe get a meal, and then you can start a better day that way. And they'd refuse. No strings attached. Zero strings attached. I'm not, and they knew me. I mean, I had been talking to these people for months.
And
they
just like you
knew
said,
me.
yeah,
And
you
I'd
weren't
offered them
running
things,
them-
and it's not a bait and switch.
Right.
And I'd tell them straight up, and they knew. And, there's some amazing Rainbow Bridge and different places that cast things that'll help them out. And they just wouldn't do it. They just don't want help. And
That's the question.
Try and
what
try.
do you do?
And and I've paid for groceries for people when they shoplifted, because, damn it, I didn't want to arrest them.
Right.
And it's not because I was trying to get out of paperwork or anything, because, damn it, I get paid by the hour. I don't give a damn. I was getting paid the same to do it or not. I'm not trying to get out of work or anything like that, because I can knock out a report in 15 minutes.
Right.
It's so easy now. We don't even write tickets with a pen anymore.
No, it's all electronic.
I didn't even need a pen. You scan their license, scan this, scan that, bam, hit print, and it comes out. But reports were so easy. I could dictate my report verbally driving to the jail.
Yeah,
things are so simple. So if people think, we don't arrest people just to get out of doing a report, or, because it's hard work, it's not. It's so simple. It's, damn it, I care, and I have compassion for people, and I try and help them. And I've given so many breaks, and especially, people think, the kickstand comes down, the pen comes out. I'm writing you a ticket. That is so far from the truth, especially as a DUI cop. If I pulled somebody over and they weren't DUI and they were speeding or whatever, and I can talk to them, most of what I did as a cop was educate.
Yeah.
Just talk to people. A lot of times they didn't know what they were doing was illegal. U-turns or different lane changes, or, especially when the cell phone thing came out with the distracted driving. God, now that I'm retired, I wish I had guided missiles on my truck to take out cell phone people. Put your damn cell phone away.
Agreed.
And get out of the freaking left lane, especially if you're in a Prius. But anyway, I'll get off my rant. But
Mark Lamb would agree with you on that. He's made videos about that.
He's a dear friend of mine.
Parking
and
on
I
the
believe
left lane.
Mark Lamb's doing such a great job. And I'm a lot like him. His philosophies in law enforcement, I'm right down that same road. We have a very, very similar philosophies and leadership style and everything else. Things at MCSO under my command will be the same way. And one of the big things, MCSO will never be mine. When I'm elected sheriff of MCSO, it will never be my sheriff's office. It will always be yours. MCSO belongs to the people of Maricopa County. I will be a part-time employee, and I know that, and it will always be treated that way. I'm not going to go in and start changing stickers to make my mark or anything like that. I'm not a gimmick guy.
Right.
It's not my department. It's yours. It belongs to you. It belongs to the people that have worked for MCSO forever, and they've dedicated their lives to it. It's their department.
Agreed.
They are not my deputies. They don't work for me. They work for you. I work for them, and I will always be that way. And I will never call them my deputies. They're your deputies. Always. I am their sheriff. I work for them. And everything I do will be to support them. They will never work one day for me. They will always work for you. And they are there to work for themselves, for their department, and for their county. They are not mine. Other than I am a taxpayer also, and they're mine, as in I pay for their salary too as a taxpayer. As the sheriff, I work for them. Everything I do every day will be to support them and to make their job easier. The number one with the sheriff's office is for me to make their jobs easier. And the only reason I'm doing this as running for sheriff is not for me. I have a good pension. I have my military disability. I don't need the money. The sheriff's office doesn't make squat anyway. The sheriff is a statutorily paid position. I made more as a patrolman. I don't need the power. It's not a power thing. It's never been about that. I never promoted with the police department because I don't need it. I've never wanted it. I've never sought it. I prayed very hard about this. I don't need it for my family. This has taken me away from my grandkids and my wife for at least 4 years. And I will never do more than 2 terms. I guarantee it. Okay. Hold me to it. Hold me to it. That's an order.
We will do that.
And I say 2 terms because it may take that long to get things straightened out. The Melendrez lawsuit is a whopping nightmare.
And that is going back. That's going back to Arpaio's days.
2007 is when that started.
So I was directly asked the question to ask you in regards to Arpaio's policies. I was asked to ask you about what you thought about Arpaio, but I think that's neither here nor there. I think it's more about his policies.
Okay.
And what your thoughts are on regarding some of the policies that have led to the sheriff's office being sued, they're under consent decree, correct?
Yes.
So they're under consent decree. If people who don't know what that means is that they've been investigated by the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice at the federal level has come in and basically said, you need to uphold to these rules, these laws, these guidelines. And it's an agreement by the sheriff's office to do what the Justice Department has said.
Agreement? Yeah, it was ordered by a federal court.
Okay, judge. There you go.
In 2010. From 2010 until last year, the taxpayers of Maricopa County paid $20 million a year for that oversight. The oversight's done by an independent monitor and the ACLU. That money gets divided between the independent monitor and the ACLU.
So they're making $10 million apiece on taxpayer
until
money.
Until this year.
Because of this lawsuit.
This year, it got bumped to $26 million a year.
Okay.
Inflation, baby.
Yep.
So in 2016, the Democrat current sheriff, Paul Pinzone, was elected, and he owns the lawsuit when he gets elected.
Agreed.
When I get elected, I own it, and I take full responsibility. I'll take it, and I have to solve it. But right now, it belongs to Paul Pinzone. Last year, he was found in criminal contempt of court for not coming in compliance. They're still not in full compliance with the order.
Let's back up 1 second. The entire reason the consent decree was put into place is because of the racial profiling practices that were ordered by Arpaio.
That's one part of it.
Okay.
There's like, I think 15 stipulations. There was illegal immigration roundups, traffic stops, record keeping, some massive problems with internal affairs investigations.
Right. They're severely backlogged.
And, well, what was happening during investigations, cover-ups, good old boy,
corruption.
I'll help out my buddy. The chief deputy allegedly in the investigation, in the court order, may or may not have covered up one of his own investigations and is named, I believe, 3 times in the order.
Yes.
Is not allowed to have anything to do with internal affairs investigations.
Can you name names?
I can. His name's Jerry Sheridan.
Okay.
And actually, he's running for sheriff.
He's running for sheriff.
So if he were elected, which I don't believe he's electable, he lost to Pinzone in 2020 by over 300,000 votes, and is a massive part of the reason we have Pinzone, in my opinion, and the problems that the sheriff's office is having. But so we have to get this cleaned up. Right now, the only thing left is internal affairs and the massive backlog that they have with internal affairs complaints.
I was never internal affairs. I'm not very familiar.
Me either.
But right, so we're both kind of. I'm speculating on this as well. There's time limits though on the administrative side. At least there was at my previous department.
There's actually an officer bill of rights.
Right. And so there's time limits on these things.
90 days.
So if you have an investigation that opens in January and nobody's touched it till September, nothing's going to happen with that investigation. Whether it was found, responsible or not, nothing's going to happen with that investigation because the time limit has overgone because officers have a bill of rights.
Wrong.
Okay, correct me.
They have suspended the officer's bill of rights at MCSO. Because of this consent decree.
Okay.
Some of
That's
the
news to
internal
me.
affairs complaints are over a year and a half old.
So how can they suspend an officer's bill of rights?
Yeah.
That would be like the federal government's just suspending the bill of rights, which the New Mexico governor tried to do. But anyways,
because of the consent decree, they've suspended the officer's bill of rights. Some of these investigations are over a year and a half old.
they've just been sitting there chilling, doing nothing.
Well, so there's vacancies in internal affairs, and they have not been filled. And there's a massive backlog.
Right.
Because of that massive backlog, the judge that originally ordered this consent decree found Paul Pinzone in criminal contempt last year. And as of, I believe, May of this year, we are now being fined $1.15 million a month in fines until he comes into compliance. And that's on top of the $26 million a year we're already paying for the oversight.
This is coming directly out of taxpayers' pockets.
Maricopa County taxpayer dollars. Absolutely.
So
we've paid out over $300 million so far.
what's the annual budget for the MCSO?
So in 2016, when Paul Pinzone took over, it was around $320 million a year.
Okay.
80% of that is the jails.
Right.
It's the fourth largest jail system in the United States. MCSO.
That's a huge responsibility.
Yeah. So this year, the budget, I believe, is around $740 million.
Jesus, inflation.
Is it?
Or we have to cover $26 million a year worth of fines.
That's separate.
Okay.
That's not part of the budget.
That's not part of the budget?
No.
Jesus, where's this money going?
I know. I want to audit the books, find out exactly where it's going. I don't believe we have as many deputies on the road now as we did in 16.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So,
and we don't have 2,500 volunteers.
Is that
The posse.
Is that part of their
used to have.
policies? Or just
That was Pinzone.
Gotcha. How does to fill the positions within internal affairs, you have to have qualified officers, deputies that
Correct.
test for the position, whatever the case is, training. So how can you, like, the process should just simply be identifying these people, getting them trained up,
train them.
And now does MCSO require that they be sergeant level or above?
No.
Okay, so just you can be a detective. So, and all of those policies can be changed anyways when you get into office.
Correct.
So I'm just trying to figure out.
They have to be in following with the consent decree. It's very specific on certain things.
That is something that I did not look into, so I can't comment at all.
And it's very specific.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand.
Can't be Joe Blow off the street,
right?
For sure.
How can
not just any patrolman can take the spot,
right? How can Penzone just not do this?
Priorities.
And continue to just cost millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Right. Well, he says he doesn't have the funding or the manpower.
Well, that would be a retention issue and a hiring issue if you're a not so great department at the moment.
It can be a priority issue too.
Yeah.
So in about the same time, there's a program where it was budgeted $5.7 million was spent to hire 47 employees and buy scanners to scan employees in detention and hire separate detention officers to scan the detention officers when they come to work.
Oh, okay.
Because they're being blamed for the drugs getting into the jail.
Okay.
But he doesn't have the manpower to fill the 5 or so investigation slots in internal affairs.
But we can hire 40 some odd and buy all these scanners and all that stuff.
I guess so.
So we can agree, though, that there probably is some detention that is, in fact, doing that. It's not. We can agree that there are some cops that are just bad and doing terrible shit.
There's bad plumbers. There's bad electricians.
Right.
They're human.
Yes.
I know of one detention officer that was caught.
Okay.
Bringing contraband into the jail. Personally, I do know of one.
Okay.
That was caught. I believe there's around, I think it's like 1,400 people a day get booked into MCSO.
That's a ton.
On a given day. It's in the ballpark.
And for people who don't understand how the jail system works, your Maricopa County deputies will specifically arrest and take them to their jail, but then the city departments within Maricopa County will usually they'll arrest somebody, take them to their own little in-house jail for a very short period of time, and if it's serious enough, then they'll get transported over to Maricopa County jails.
Yes.
Because counties are responsible for jails at the county level and for every police department and every prisoner in the county.
And DPS,
everybody, every city agency.
Marshal Service,
Yes.
They house people there. ICE, a lot of agencies use MCSO in the county to house people.
1,400 people a day is huge.
Yeah. It's at least 1,400 people a day. So, and I mean, it fluctuates every day, but that's a pretty good number. And people get transferred in and out to court, so say Mesa needs somebody to go to court, they'll come pick them up and take them to court, and then they bring them back. So people are in and out constantly through the day. I don't know the number. It's astronomical, the people that are in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And, to just blame the employees is ludicrous to me, in my opinion.
Without evidence.
And it vilifies the employees. And I mean, morale's bad enough. They're shorthanded. And with COVID and everything that happened and all the extra duties that they had to do and all the forced overtime and everything that was going on, they were overtaxed and just wore out, wore out. And then for this to be thrown onto them too is from their leadership, coming from the top, I think is just too much to bear. And it was absolutely unfair. And a lot of things have to change. What are some tangible things that you could do that would show immediately the support for the deputies, the support for the taxpayers? Stop vilifying your employees.
Okay.
It has to become a family again. MCSO used to be a family. Trust is a huge factor. You have to know the person next to you has your back.
Yeah.
You have to know your boss has your back. The boss has to know that his employees has his back. That has to be earned. Eye to eye. Face to face.
What about the accountability aspect?
Absolute accountability. And that starts at the top.
Yes.
And it can't be done with gimmicks. And I'm not a gimmick guy. I'm not a pink underwear and green baloney kind of guy. And I'm not digging it, Joe. Those were awesome at that time. But that's not going to solve the problems that are going on with the sheriff's office.
No.
It's not. That's not me. Officers need to make decisions about what they do. I know I have great programs that are be coming down the line. If uniforms need to change, they wear them. I don't. They're going to have a committee. There's going to be committees among detention and among patrol.
Okay.
They are going to decide if there's a uniform change that needs to happen. They wear it. I don't. They decide what they wear.
Those are little things that can,
but they're huge.
But that's what I was going to say.
And
I remember when command staff was making decisions about the uniforms that we were wearing out on the road that just made no sense. Giving ownership and empowering them. That's
when
a good
Phoenix
step.
came down and made their officers start going back to Class A's, and wearing their Class A's instead of the comfortable uniforms that they had, morale went in the dumper.
Yeah.
I know of at least 15 guys that retired just because of a uniform change. It's a big deal.
It is.
MCSO, there's people that are retiring before their 20-year pension's up. Who in the hell does that?
Nobody anymore.
Who leaves a government job before their pension's up? Nobody does. They're doing it at MCSO.
How do you...
You don't quit a bad job.
You quit bad bosses.
You quit a bad boss.
Yep. How do you get new, fresh blood in? You know, there's so many, like I said...
Culture change. People have to be excited to come work there.
Yeah.
And it's word of mouth. People know. People talk. People come to the valley and they start asking cops, hey, I want to test to be a cop. Where should I go? Everybody says, don't go to MCSO. They're under consent decree.
You know where they say to go?
It sucks.
Pinal.
Yeah. Why?
They have, their leadership is out in front, showing his face, supporting his deputies. I've had the number 2 sit where you are and talk about.
And the face of their department, too.
Yes, exactly. To sit and talk about mental health challenges and how the department overcomes those things and supports their deputies. You know, I've had those conversations.
Well, good. Look where I came from, and I'm gonna plug my home, Glendale. I love Glendale. Glendale's a big city, but it feels like a small town. It really does. At Glendale PD, I still do. I know everybody that works there. I know their spouses. I know their kids. I know their dogs. I know everybody there because we were a family.
Yeah.
You're not just another employee or a name. We knew each other. The guys at the fire department, I know them.
Yeah.
I know their names. I know their family. Hell, we're intermarried and family. You know, there's brothers and sisters that work PD and fire.
Nothing weird. Nothing weird.
No, nothing weird. But we work out of the same station.
Yeah.
Fire's on one side, PD's on the other. It's easier to throw stuff at each other. We know each other. It has to be that way. MCSO can be that way too, but it has to start from the top.
Well,
and it has to be, they have to see it. And I have to see what they're going through. My staff will work shifts in the jail and on the street. They better bust loose that Velcro off their ass because they're going to get out of the chairs. They will leave the office.
Yeah.
And because you have to see it to fix it. If you don't know there's a problem, you can't fix it. And they're going to be out there. And if people are ineffective leaders, they're gone. And if they don't want to unask those chairs and get out of the office, I don't need them.
Agreed.
You have to be a leader. You have to be out there with your people. You have to earn their respect. You have to earn their trust. You have to be out there with them.
Amen. Some of the most impactful leaders that I had at DPS were, we'd be working a big accident scene out there at the I-10 or whatever, you know, and you got 10 miles of flares and cones set up and all that. And we'd need somebody to go back and put up more flares or whatever. And we'd hear this one commander every once in a while pop on and he goes, I got it. No, someone different.
You know him?
Yeah. Not a personal fan. So does his name start with a B and end with a B? Benham?
No.
Oh, okay, different guy. So
Motor. Central Traffic.
what's his name?
Names and me.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. But
He was a motor?
Pruitt,
Yes.
Jake Pruitt.
You don't want to know how I know Jake?
Bit of a complicated story though, but for me, I've heard he was fantastic to work for.
I taught his traffic law in the
Oh, no
academy.
shit.
Love Jake.
Well,
But that's where I go back.
yeah, but
That's how old I am.
but showing that leadership and being out there as a captain, as a commander, as a whatever, I don't know the rank structure of MCSO other than sheriff.
It's confusing.
Yeah,
There's ranks in there that I've never even heard of.
yeah, they got chiefs and deputy chiefs.
There's
and
more chiefs at MCSO than there is in the Valley.
That's
at
insane.
PDs. Yeah, it is.
That's very insane. So
It's going to be looked at.
how do you change the culture from within when you meet resistance? You know, how do you
Head on.
No,
Head on. And honestly, I don't bullshit around.
right?
I don't blow smoke up anybody's ass. I talk straight and I talk honestly. But I'm not hard-headed either.
Understood.
I do listen. So if there's a good reason for something, we can work with it. I moved. If there's good reason for something, I'll listen.
Gotcha.
And I can work with people and I can work with things. I'm not going to change the traditions of MCSO. If there's honest traditions and it's honest, good culture and there's a reason for it, I'm not a change for the sake of change guy. That pisses me off more than anything. But I'm also not, we've always done it that way.
Right.
That ain't going to fly. There has to be a reason for it. And if we can change things for the better, we will. But I'm not going to change something just to change it. I'm not going to just upset the apple cart just for my own personal whim. That doesn't fly with me. We're going to look at things honestly. We're going to analyze it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to work things through with sincerity and honesty and openness with everyone. And it's going to make sense or it's not going to change. If it doesn't make sense, we're not going to do it. I'm a common sense guy. One of the reasons I was a really good cop, I'm a good problem solver.
That is a skill that is very necessary on the fly in law enforcement.
But I have to see it. And I'm a hands-on guy. And it's going to freak some people out because I don't do it from behind a desk. My boots have a lot of miles on them. And that's not going to change.
Well, you've been a worker bee.
Yeah,
your
and
entire
I'm going to be
career.
that way. And it, like Mark Lamb does. He's out there and he sees things and he handles things with a lot of compassion and a lot of sincerity and a lot of faith. And
Very much agreed.
I'm the same way. And I'm of the same school. And we're going to change a lot of things and a lot of things for family. We're going to bring a lot of programs for the family unit and for spouses and a lot of support, a lot of things for therapy, a lot of openness for officers and deputies to be able to talk about things that are going on, a lot of offline things where command is not involved.
Okay.
Pistol is a great opportunity. If you don't know, they work offline completely separate from command. I won't know.
Okay.
And I won't get involved.
Understood.
And I'm going to give deputies and any employee, civilian or otherwise, opportunities to step outside the department if they need help, and no questions asked, they're going to get help. They can step outside of command, outside the department if they need help. And if they don't want me to know, I won't know. If they want my help personally, I'll help them. If somebody needs help with their rent, if they need a babysitter, call me. I'll come watch your kids. I don't give a damn. If you need help with a brake job on your car, come on over. I'll help you change the brakes. I mean, I'm that guy. I really am. I'm not, no bullshit. I'm that guy. My wife is that person. We will help. That's why I'm doing this, is to help. And I'm not going to do it. I'm saying to you right now, I promise you, and I'm not a politician, I promise you, I will not do more than 2 terms.
You can make a lot of good in 2 terms.
And this is one of the biggest problems with MCSO. Mark Lamb's doing a good job. The sheriff's office I work for is amazing at it. They don't mentor people.
The MCSO does not.
Who's going to take over right now? Who's being mentored to take over?
Probably nobody.
It happens at a lot of agencies.
There's no grooming.
There's no from the military. Everyone under you train to take your position.
Yes.
They don't do that.
I think that there's just, if you
there's
don't,
a huge gap.
There's a huge gap because there's no ownership. Because why would I own this if my boss is just going to shit on me?
Yep.
Why would I give a shit about the next generation when my boss is just going to shit on me and vilify me and say I'm planting or bringing in drugs and all that stuff?
I guarantee you, when I leave MCSO, I will leave MCSO very strong, very capable. There will be at least 5 people ready to take over at any given time. Because if anything ever happened to me, I will not leave them in the lurch. There will be people capable, ready, honest to take over.
It's a huge, good agency.
It is.
It's got...
There's amazing people there that are not being used properly and effectively.
So last
And a lot of it is because they're afraid.
Well, last Thursday, I just had, without naming names or what department he works for, but you can go onto his Instagram and he does kickflips and donuts, and he's a deputy that skateboards. And he's an amazing guy. I said I just released it today, so at the time
I was
we were
looking
filming
for it last night.
Yeah,
I wish
I
it
know.
was on. I wanted to hear it.
So, and again, without naming particularly what department he works for, but the people that I have met that worked at MCSO, the thing that people don't understand about a police department is the capabilities that a department has are incredible, especially a sheriff's unit. And there's so many things. And one of the things that county law enforcement is responsible for is search and rescue.
Yes.
So that's constitutionally, per the Arizona Constitution.
Statutorily.
Yep. And Constitution.
Yeah.
So there's so many different aspects to this that you've got cops and paramedics and pilots and logistics and detention and civilians and radio people and all the type of stuff. So how can you be a sheriff for all that work? You know, for all, like, how can you show all of these different branches? And the civilians are usually neglected. By civilian, I mean non-sworn.
Yep.
They're usually the neglected ones. How can you show them that you're the guy? How can you show them that this is what you're going to do?
I've been it. I've done it. And I'm not doing this for me.
Right.
I'm doing it for them. I've worked with the tribal nations. I've worked with the federal government. I've worked patrol. I was a detective, several different styles of detective. I know how to do investigations. We have to get back to narcotics investigations. We have to get back to fighting human trafficking. We have to get our posse back and get our volunteers involved. One of the big things we're going to do is tap into the disabled community. There's a lot of disabled people in this county that want to serve, that want to be a bigger part of their community and help and serve. And we're going to get them involved in the posse. We have to get our youth involved.
That's a huge question that I have.
Watch this. Less than 3% of the population of graduating seniors at 18 years old are eligible for military service.
Right.
By the time they reach 21, less than 1% of 21-year-olds in the United States are eligible for law enforcement. How many of those that are eligible can we even get to test?
Now,
yeah,
you can't.
I know.
You can't.
And a lot of times when they get to the testing process for law enforcement, maybe we get lucky and somebody shows up to test and we tell them they're ineligible for drug usage because of the standards we set, criminal history, or physical or mental issues that they have. They'll say, I didn't know.
Right.
And they're not stupid. They really didn't know
Right.
that those were the standards. Why didn't they know? Nobody ever told them.
Nobody ever told them that, hey, if you want to aspire to do this, you got to make sure you don't do that.
Well, so if you look at the standards for law enforcement, my son works for an aerospace company in the Valley, a very large company, and the standards for him to get hired were very, very similar to law enforcement.
If he holds any kind of background as well, any kind of TS or anything, then he's going to have to have a
top
very
secret.
clean one.
They work on aircraft.
Yeah,
And some of them are top secret military aircraft, stealth and things like that.
I'm sure you went through the secret background.
Yeah. I was top secret clearance. So, one of the things I did in the military, I was a courier. So I had to carry top secret documents from headquarters and that kind of thing too. So, but they didn't know. So we have to get involved with the youth because, in schools now, they're not even teaching kids how to balance a checkbook.
You are correct about that.
And I'm showing my age there, who balances a damn checkbook anymore. But, just to balance their checking account and how to responsibly pay their bills and know what they have coming in, what they have going out, how to apply for a loan, how to do anything. I was taught that in school. I was taught how to work on small engines and motorcycles when I was at school. They don't teach any of that anymore, any common sense things. So, we can get a posse, clubs in schools and teach kids how to volunteer, get that volunteer passion into their heart, like I had with the fire department, and get them involved in the community. We can help do cleanups in the community. Teach them to interact with law enforcement in a positive way. Get school resource officers back in the schools to protect our children. We do it for everything else. We protect everything else, but we don't protect our schools where our children are.
So what do you say to people that say, oh, cops shouldn't be in schools? That's just stupid.
Just one, to teach and to help and to be a resource. Why not?
That's, I
As
can't.
a positive interaction, why not?
It's been my experience that SROs, school resource officers, are generally, and I'm being kind, I'm not being rude, they're generally the kinder-hearted type person.
They are. And it's a volunteer job.
Yeah.
And it's and oh man, Willie Jackson worked for Glendale PD. He was the kindest, sweetest guy in the world. An amazing resource for the police department. And kids loved him to death. There's another guy that's so tight with me, Marine. Damn hardcore Marine.
And he has a heart? That's amazing.
He works at a school in a tough part of town.
Yeah.
Grew up in Southern California. Tough kid. Growing up. Awesome dad.
Yeah.
Put his kids through school, taught him athletics. His daughter played Division I softball. He's a good dad.
Yeah.
He's in this tough-ass school.
As an SRO.
The kids love him. I used to go there when I was a DUI cop, and I taught the DUI impaired driving stuff. And we teach kids, hey, this is what it's like. We had the beer goggles and everything. We even had marijuana goggles that shows you.
I would love to see what those actually look like.
They're trippy as hell. They're green, duh. But which is dumb because you don't see green when you're high. But it shows you pseudo impairment of what it's simulated impairment, but what it's like to be high or drunk. And we had the National Guard would show up with these little pedal go-karts, and we would set up cones, and they could drive their little go-karts through with these beer goggles on, and man, they'd be all over the place. Or just throw a tennis ball to them and try and catch it, and things like that. I used to teach out at Luke Air Force Base. I did the safety briefings for the airmen out there, and one of the biggest things,
don't miss those.
With impairment. Oh God, I know, me too. But it was fun to teach it. If you're impaired, high, drunk, whatever, call a tow truck.
Yeah.
It's $100.
There's a lot of resources.
They'll
now.
take you and your car home. They'll even park it in your driveway straight. Nobody will know. It's $100. DUI costs a minimum $7,000.
Easily.
$100, people.
Easily.
Call a tow truck. They'll take you and your car home. So there's my plug.
Yeah. So I want to ask you though about corruption and law enforcement corruption. And there's been some in the Valley.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely won't stand for it. Absolutely will not stand for it. If you're a corrupt cop, I'm your biggest enemy. And that's one of the biggest reasons I'm running for this office, too, is to keep somebody else out. Because we can't afford it again.
We can't afford it. And I would be totally interested to sit down with anybody who's running for this position and have conversations about it, but also at the same time, make some confrontations as well.
Do it.
About stuff in the past.
Yep.
And
I've never been charged with a crime in my life.
Well, I have.
Yeah. I haven't.
But that's one of the things that we talked about when you and I first met. And I was open and honest with you about that.
And I appreciate that. And I have open conversations with people all the time. I met an amazing guy. I think I have dinner with him and his wife on Friday or Thursday night. And he's in the cannabis industry. He was targeted in Yavapai County.
Okay.
He makes Zonk.
Oh, Zonka. Zonka bars. Yeah. I'll send him this.
Love him to death.
Chris Martin?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want everybody out there to know that we are praying for his wife. She's an angel. So, sorry, I got emotional.
No.
She's fighting breast cancer. Watched his video, his little movie that he documentary.
Haters Make Me Famous.
Amazing. Please watch it if you haven't. What happened to him was absolutely a travesty of justice. Should not have ever happened.
Right.
It was, they were trying to make a example of him, which is not what the justice system is about. It's not about making examples of people and hammering people. That's not what it's for. It's about protecting society. It's about people that truly have broken the law that need to be punished, that aren't going to learn. And skirting and dancing around gray areas is not what the legal system and that's not the definition of justice. And I don't believe in it. And that's one of the big reasons I got out of the DEA. It was being, in my opinion, used improperly and in a bad way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't justice. It was not just.
It was serving the federal government.
It was serving other people's agendas. And I don't stand for that. Justice has to be just.
No, equal.
And it has to be equal. And it has to be fair. And I've always believed in fairness. And I also believe in compassion. And you have to look at things on a case-to-case basis.
Amen.
But it has to be done fairly and with compassion first, not with an agenda. And I don't have an agenda.
I was just going to ask you, what's your agenda?
To save MCSO and to save the taxpayers a lot of money and not at the cost of the employees of MCSO. We're going to spend money.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
Oh, we're going to spend a boatload.
That's the only thing a police department does is spend money. It's tax-based, so...
But the money I spend is going to be a hell of a lot less than the money I save.
And accountable.
Yeah, because they're blowing $26 million a year on this stupid lawsuit, and we're going to shut that down. But, and this is going to shock a lot of people, I believe everything that's in that lawsuit that Judge Snow put in that lawsuit is correct.
Okay.
Everything he said that MCSO should be doing, they should have been doing all along.
Amen. I can tell you this right now, that I was working the road during that time period.
Me too.
I worked down by Guadalupe. I worked right there off of I-10 and Baseline. And back then, but I'm sure it still is now, Guadalupe was patrolled specifically by Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. Mm-hmm. I did interdiction along I-10, and it made my job very, very difficult anytime I would pull off on I-10 at Baseline. Because now, again, I did not live in the day and age now as a law enforcement officer where people were running up to you with your phones and all that.
Oh, yeah.
But the people did not know that I was not MCSO. They just saw a police officer.
And you were in tan.
I was in tan. That's all that they saw.
Really close.
Yes. So there were times where I did have people run up to me, and again, I never really cared if people videoed me, but it only happened a few times. Right. And I said to them, "Hey, man, I'm not MCSO," and they're like, "You're not?" I'm like, "No," and just educating the public, right? Yeah. And people have praised that particular individual, Arpaio. And I'm sitting here saying, I worked in the Valley. I talked to deputies back then, and things weren't as great as he portrayed them on TV.
Yeah.
He was flat. The immigration stuff was flat out racist.
It wasn't all him.
Correct. But those practices were rooted in checking for people institutionally.
And it comes from the top.
Agreed. There's no other way to say that.
Yep.
It was inhumane, pulling people over because they looked a certain color.
Yep.
And again, I witnessed it, and I worked it, and I did human trafficking. Yep. These are policies that can't stand anymore.
No, and they will not.
Yeah, these are things that
and I think, and I'm going to give this, and it might piss some people off, and it might shock some people, but I think Paul Pinzone's done a great job with that.
Of combating that?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Just want to be clear on that.
He's done a great job with that, and
you got to give credit where credit's due.
To a lot of people, I know Paul.
Okay.
And I like Paul as a person. I have a lot of respect for him as a law enforcement officer. We're brothers in blue, just as you and I are. Running against Paul is not a personal thing, and he knows that. We've talked about it. I've spoken with Paul, and he knows, and we have a mutual understanding and a mutual respect. He knows I'm not anything that I've said or will say against Sheriff Pinzone is in respect, and it's not personal.
Right.
And he knows that. And we've spoken.
Your adversaries, not enemies.
Correct. And man, that's something that's just so screwed up right now in politics. And the reason I hate politics so much, if we agree 80%, that doesn't make us 20% enemies.
Right.
We can still talk about things. And it doesn't have to be so adversarial. Paul and I disagree philosophically on things in our leadership style and the way we view things politically, I guess you could say. And even though I really don't classify myself as a politician, I'm a cop, I'm a leader, and that's what I bring to the sheriff's office. I'm going to take the politics out of the sheriff's office as much as I can. If politics have to be done, I will do it,
no.
And they will not. Their jobs will be their jobs, and they will not have to be political. If politics have to happen with MCSO, I will take care of it, and I will take it off of them. That's my job. And that's part of me working for them to make their job easier, is to take the politics out of their job. I was a deputy. I worked under 2 sheriffs. I've been through a sheriff's race before. I've been through the election process. Now, I had it a lot easier because when I went through it, the sheriff that was elected was my captain at the time.
Okay.
And when I was growing up in Kirtland, New Mexico, just outside Farmington, right there on the edge of the reservation, he was the deputy that used to chase me on my dirt bike. We used to go try and find him. Mike Davidson was a great guy. And then later, Sheriff Davidson, he's the one that assigned me to the task force. But it wasn't adversarial. He was groomed and trained to be the next sheriff, and that's what's going to happen at MCSO. We're going to take the adversarial relationship out of command. We're going to take the fear out of voicing your opinion. I want to hear deputies' opinions. Honestly, my phone number hasn't changed in 25 years, and it's not going to change. Call me. I want to hear. When you asked me before the podcast, I think we talked last week, you said, hey, do you mind if I put out, some questions for people to answer? What did I say?
Do it.
I would love
Go
to
for
hear
it.
questions. Please. Please.
Yeah.
It'll help drive the conversation.
Amen.
I love that. One of my favorite things to do anywhere I talk is question and answer time.
Yeah.
Hit me. I want to hear what people have to say. One of the favorite things I did as a deputy, the sheriff would call, car 1, and he would call me by my call sign. God, that was so long ago, I don't remember. But he would call me, and I'd go pick him up, and we'd go down to the Tiger Cafe, and we'd sit there for hours, and people would gather because they knew he was coming. People from the community, farmers, ranchers, business owners, and sit down and have breakfast with the sheriff. And he'd sit at the biggest table, and we'd sit there for hours, and I'd have my notebook because it was my district. And any complaints or any problems there, hey, the neighbors' dogs are getting into my cattle, or this is going on, or this kid down the street speeding. I took notes, and it was my job to take care of every complaint. He would have the deputy from a different district come pick him up and go out to that district, to a local area, and he would sit down, and he'd do this all the time. Get ready. I will be out in the community doing the same damn thing. Breakfast with the sheriff is going to happen all the time.
My question about that is, and this is no knock on any police department or anybody, the shop with a cop, the coffee with a cop, sitting down to lunch is absolutely necessary.
It is.
But the problem with my personal opinion on that is that you only get the ones that like you.
Yep.
So how do you reach out to those people that don't like you? That are fuck the police? How do you get to those people?
I'm going to their house. I'm going to their neighborhood.
Not with a warrant, just to go say hello.
Oh, hell no. And the other thing is,
Meaning as in not to kick down the
how
door.
you approach things. So, as you notice, I'm not in a suit. I'm in jeans, my brown boots. I'm not even wearing my dress boots, and short sleeve shirt. I'm not a suit and tie guy. Some people knock me for that. I have a little bit of a beard. Sorry, I retired. I had a guy approach me at a gun show. I could never vote for somebody that's not clean shaven. If you're that close minded, I don't want your vote.
Very old school mentality
Duh.
that even I haven't gotten out in 2017 to see deputies and everybody on patrol with a beard.
It's cool.
I'm still kind of weird about it.
It pisses me off.
It does too.
Glendale passed it right after he retired. Kind of bent.
I wasn't, and then also when I went and became a detective and was an SIU, we had to abide by the uniform standard, so I was never allowed to grow.
Really?
Yeah, every other detective could grow one. So, but that is a culture change.
Yeah,
that is something that you can allow.
And that's so.
And that's an old
and
school
a lot
mentality.
of people. Okay, tattoos. Glendale, the word tattoo was not in our policy manual anywhere. Okay. We had guys with tattoos down their neck. Okay. They're tasteful. No naked ladies.
Schneider. Did you know a Schneider?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to the academy with him. He had the big old holes in his ears and all that.
Yeah, engaged.
Yeah.
Great cop.
Yeah.
Very passionate.
I can't believe I just remembered his name. Jesus. Came out of nowhere.
He's my brother, man. Oh. Hey, Schneider. But, yeah, so I mean, we had guys with tattoos. I have ink. I got some when I was overseas. Mm-hmm. Now mine are above the elbow and stuff like that. I'm a little old school, but I don't care. I don't care. MCSO, you got ink? Okay,
right.
It's an outward expression of your inner self. As long as it's tasteful, you don't have naked ladies or swear words.
Right.
You're gonna have to cover it up. But obviously you have to be tasteful and it has to be tactful, but I don't care. Guys can grow beards, girls too.
It's 2023, man.
If you want to wear your hair a little longer, the hair color thing, okay, that's not up to me. It's you. It's your personal expression. As long as it's tasteful and it doesn't distract from your job.
Right.
I don't care. And the officers, the deputies are going to decide. The deputies are going to decide. If you guys want to change to outer carriers with the Molly stuff and you want to change colors or you want to change your patch, I mean, we're going to have meetings about it and you're going to decide. It's your department. It's your department. It's not mine. It never will be. I will have great pride in the things we accomplish. But you're going to lead that. I'm going to direct it. That's my job.
Right.
Is to direct it. But those kind of decisions are going to be done by the deputies because it's their department. They're the ones that are going to be there for their career. I realize I'm a part-time employee and I'll always be treated that way, and I will always treat it that way.
So on that note, how do you win over the deputies being an outsider, being somebody who didn't actually wear the uniform?
I will wear the uniform and I'll wear it with pride.
Understood.
I will always treat myself as an outsider, and I'll never try to impart myself that I'm better than them or that I know better. And I'll always approach it that way respectfully, and I'll earn their respect. I will earn their respect.
I think that,
and I'll work my ass off every day to earn their respect.
I think having been a deputy, even somewhere else.
And I was a deputy. So I
do agree that helps.
Yeah, I'm not just some city cop.
Right.
I do have a very vast background and a huge, vast experience that's federal, military, deputy. I work count, the only thing I wasn't a troop. I didn't work state police, but I was DOT certified. I've made traffic stops in a semi. Have you ever done that?
Oh, of course. I was commercial vehicle certified. We were trucker fuckers.
But did you drive a semi?
Oh, no.
A traffic stop.
Oh, no.
I have. I went to Swift truck driving school.
Okay.
And we have a command vehicle that is a semi. It's a Freightliner.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
And it has red and blues and a siren. I have made traffic stops in it. I've done that. So, I've made traffic stops on motorcycles, cars. We had aggressive driving unmarks. I've made a traffic stop in a semi. I have a vast experience. I've worked 2 Super Bowls. I worked special ops with the Super Bowls. I have a very vast experience base and knowledge base. And I can approach problems. I can approach different things at MCSO that other people don't have that experience base. And I like to come at things open-minded, and I like to hear other people's opinions. And if they have a better idea than me, we'll go with that. I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an ego. This job isn't owed to me. I want to earn it. And with voters, and I want to earn their respect. I want to earn this position. I really do. And every day I'm there, I want to earn the privilege to be the sheriff of MCSO.
What is your most important aspect of your leadership style?
Respect,
Okay.
honesty, and hope. They need hope that I will lead them.
Agreed.
And give them the proper direction. And that's all I'm there for, is direction. It's not my way or the highway, for damn sure. We're going to work at this together, and we're going to be a team. And I truly believe that. We're going to be a family. And it's all about guidance, and that's it. I'm not coming in and saying, okay, this is the way it's going to be. That's not it. That's not me. That's just not the way I do things, and I'll never be that way. We're going to work through things together. And if somebody's in the wrong spot, and they need to be moved somewhere else where they can be more effective, we'll work towards that. If somebody's unhappy somewhere, we can fix that. If somebody needs to be somewhere else, we can move them there. We're going to fix a lot of things. And I know it's a huge task.
It is.
And it's not going to be fixed overnight.
It's not.
And it's going to be hard. And I'm going to be putting in 28, 35 hours a day, 16 hours a week, 16 days a week, whatever. It's going to be insane. And I'm ready for it. Okay. I'm ready. And I can do it. And I will do it. I'll work my ass off. That's all I know. We're going to do it. And I know we can. And the people at MCSO, I know they're ready to do it.
They want change.
They need it
they want change.
Bad.
One of the things that, from my own personal experience, is that I saw that I just couldn't stand was suddenly a new boss came in and, hey, look, it's 3 of my buddies from the previous agency that all retired as commanders. Or
Nope.
They're going to come over as commanders and we're all going to make $200,000 a year.
Nope.
You know, it's one of those things where there was a lot like this person has no agency or has no ownership in this agency.
Nope.
Yet they're going to come over and tell us what to do, and how to be.
Nope. Not happening. I know that happened this last time, and they didn't last very long. A lot of them went to post and went to other places, and yeah, that ain't happening. Like I said, it's MCSO will never be mine. It's yours. It belongs to the citizens of Maricopa County, and it belongs to the deputies that have been there and will be there for their whole career. I'm a part-time employee. I'm not going in there to put my mark on it.
Right.
That's not it at all. I'm going in there so they can have their department back. It's theirs.
No.
When I was with the sheriff's office in New Mexico, there were a few times, hey, we're changing all the stickers. Hey, we're changing the uniforms. I'm doing this because I think this would look sharp. Who in the hell are you, man? You sit in the office all day. You don't have to wear this crap. I remember we used to wear cowboy boots, chocolate Wranglers.
This is like
and tan shirts.
the Wild West.
Oh yeah, man. and our bulletproof vest underneath. And we wore Sam Browns, and we had to go to a pawn shop to get our gun and our Sam Brown leather belts. And you go to the range. My first weapon as a cop was a .357 Magnum wheel gun. And I later transitioned to a .45. And then we got the new sheriff, and we went to green and brown. And they still wear it.
Okay.
The patrol cars were all white, and then all of a sudden now they're green and white instead of black and white. They're
like
green and white.
Immigration.
Ooh, you got to check them out though. They're pretty cool. It grew on us, but man, that was a big change and horrific. I was in one of them, and I showed up to MCSO on an extradition. I pulled up in front. Hendershot walked out. I'm taking way back.
I know.
He worked under our pile. He walked out. And he starts chewing my ass. I'm there for an extradition. I'm from New Mexico. He starts chewing my ass. This is not the color scheme I authorized. This looks like shit. And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, who are you?
Bro, you didn't read the side of the car.
Says, Deputy, what are you talking about? I'm like, who are you? Then he realized he read the car and saw it was San Juan County, New Mexico, not Maricopa County. And he's like, oh, it was when they transitioned to the current scene they have now. And he's like, oh my God. He realized his issue. He's like, oh my God, you're not from here. And I said, no, I'm here to pick up a prisoner. I'm from New Mexico. It was hilarious interaction. That's really hilarious now. But he offered to buy me breakfast, and then he tried to hire me. And I said, no, you guys pay crap. I was actually making more. So anyway, but just trying to make a mark.
Yeah. No.
Change for the sake of change. And they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars just changing stickers that could have been used more effectively somewhere else.
DPS, for their 75th year anniversary, put these roundel type stickers on the side of the car that they spent like $85,000 or $90,000 on for these stickers that within a year that looked like shit and were ripping off. It's like
the sun, man.
Yeah, it's like,
what are you doing?
Well, great. Yeah. Okay. I remember they put signs all over the freeways and everything for the bicentennial of the state and all that. And it's like, this is just wasted money. Like, we're just wasting money on crap.
Yeah. And that could have been used so well with moving officers to remote locations and paying to fill up the gas bottles, or fixing the floors in some of these remote trailers that troopers are living in, and you can see the damn ground through some of the floor. I mean, I'm not calling out DPS for things, but
I will.
I know that's happened, is the only reason I mentioned it. And those things have been fixed, I know, under the previous colonel. But thanks to my wife, she actually talked to him and got some of those things fixed, officers going to remotes. But a lot of those things are huge. I know there was, old stories. Troopers were sleeping in their cars with the heater on because the department paid for the fuel, and it was cheaper than them paying for the gas in that trailer that leaked. And, they couldn't afford to pay for the, just some of that stuff needs to be addressed. And those guys were afraid to bring it up to command.
Yes.
And, there's things at every department like that. And at MCSO, that's going to change. And I honestly mean that. And I'm not blowing smoke. And look, guys, I'm dead serious, guys and gals. I'm a different person. You're not used to me. You're not used to that. I'm on your squad. Every squad that's out there on patrol, I'm a part of it. And I'm going to be out there. You're going to hear me on the radio making traffic stops. Now, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be hard for me to transition because being such a large agency, I know I'm going to have security and things like that. But
will you?
I'm going to be out there too. It's going to be yes and no. But I'm going to be out there. I am a cop. But I realize I do have to transition a lot to the other side. But I'm going to be out there with you. And I am going to be out in the jail. I'm going to be working shifts in the jail. I'm going to be walking along my side by side with detention officers. And I'm going to hear from them. They're going to look me in the eye. I'm going to look them in the eye. And I really want to hear the truth. I would love to go to your house and have dinner with you and meet your family. I want you to come to my house and have meals with me and break bread. It's a very common occurrence at my house that we have more than 80 people on holidays. As a senior officer with my department, I have delivered food to officers working. Best Buy will have an officer come and work on Thanksgiving or, for Black Friday or whatever. I deliver food to officers that are working those off-duty events, single officers. My wife and I adopt people, adults, and you may be in that category. We adopt people and bring them into our family. And that's just the way we are. We bring people in, and I love people. Truly.
When I very first met you, I felt I felt as though you were very sincere. Like I felt that in the presence of the room. I felt that when you and I were talking all by ourselves, when my son was with us, like I felt a very sincere feeling and like a warm and fuzzy feeling. No other way to put it, that I was very comfortable with you and talking. And I think we hit it off well. And I know I haven't covered every single issue. I know I haven't asked every single question. And sitting, dude, we've been at this for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
It seems like we've been here for 5.
and that's why I love doing this. I did want to ask one more specific question that popped into my head regarding the border crisis.
Yes.
And MCSO's role, because I know what MCSO role was. I don't know what the role is now or what your thoughts are in regards to what's happening in the state of Arizona and us being a border state. And I know we've bounced around and hit this, but but we've hit
there's so much to cover,
all the topics. And people can break this up and listen to it in smaller parts if they want to.
I mean, we've touched on so many things.
Yes.
So so here's a big problem. Mark Daniels in Cochise. Mark Lamb down in Pinal are getting run over. Mm-hmm. Where are they going?
They're going to Phoenix.
Why?
Because it's the hub. It's the hub of everything to
Why is it the hub?
Because we're a border state.
Well, and because
nothing's being done.
Nothing's being done. So there used to be a large squad of MCSO deputies that worked very, very hard at interdiction.
You talking about the desert guys? Mm-hmm. I forget what they're. I see
a lot of them were Delta. Badass.
Yeah.
Interdiction trained, very specialized, highly trained, very well equipped.
Yes.
And backed up by other agencies and by their command staff.
I was part of Stone Garden. I've been I've done all of the border ops. I've done all the desert ops. I've done all that stuff.
The Rocky Mountain Information.
Okay.
I was part of that. So I have personal experience.
Yeah.
I have actually fought the cartels hand to hand as a DEA agent. I know how to do it. That's coming back. The cartels know that it's pretty much ollie oxen free in Maricopa County because nothing's being done. Do you know the human trafficking task force in Maricopa County? Do you know who pays for it?
It's probably federally funded. No?
By statute. The lottery.
Interesting.
The lottery pays for it.
That I did not know.
Yeah. So that's free money, basically. It's not the taxpayers. It's lottery money.
Right.
You know how many people from MCSO are on that task force?
I don't even know if there is a task force currently.
Yeah, there is. Phoenix is on it. There's a couple other agencies. Zero from MCSO. Why?
Phoenix is the hub.
Yeah.
This is stuff. I'm very, very passionate about the human interdiction side.
Me too.
That to me is the human trafficking, the human sex trafficking. That aspect of it is the most, to me personally, the most important part of law enforcement currently. I've just like you.
Our children are not for sale.
They're not for sale.
And
our women and our men, and I don't give a flying fuck what country they're from. They're human beings.
Or
I don't
what
give
color
a
they
flying
are,
fuck.
anything else. So this is
not gonna
another
profit
thing.
off of
Okay,
humans.
this is personal. My wife is indigenous.
Okay.
She's First Nations. The largest community that is targeted is our indigenous, and the largest population in our country, or in the world, in the North America, because it goes into Canada as well. It's a huge problem there as well. Is the indigenous peoples that doesn't get reported.
Yeah.
And they're targeted.
Yep.
Because of that.
Because they are not reported.
Because they're not reported. Because they're disconnected.
Yep.
That has to stop.
The most remote location in the United States, I just read this yesterday, the day before, is a Native American tribe up in northeastern Arizona, and it starts with an S, and it's just not coming to me at the moment.
Right.
But it's so remote that nothing goes in, nothing goes out.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's.
So we have several tribal nations within Maricopa County, and we owe them a lot. And we owe them the respect to protect them. And this has to stop. We have to become more proactive in protecting everyone, and that includes our most vulnerable. Our number one job as law enforcement is to protect the most vulnerable. Our children and animals are the most innocent on earth. They can never be left unprotected. They are the truly innocent.
Yep.
They can never be guilty of anything, a child or an animal. We have to do better. We have to.
I know that you had mentioned in the start of this, the movie that came out, and that has since drawn a lot of attention onto what's going on.
It has.
But what people don't realize is that I was fighting that battle 20 years ago.
Right.
In 06 and 07. Not quite 20. I'm sure you fought that battle a hell of a lot longer before that. And there are teams of cops out there that are enduring and suffering. This is where I go into the mental health aspect of it. And in suffering, witnessing, and dealing with the most horrific shit you could possibly imagine. The most disgusting, deprived, horrific shit is being done. I'm going to get emotional. I have never done that on the podcast. Is being done to these people.
I'm here with you, bro.
And to children. And I did child crimes. And it's like, this is the kind of shit that we have. What the fuck are we doing if we're allowing children to be raped and allowing children to be trafficked and allowing men to be trafficked and allowing women to be trafficked and sold as a fucking commodity? Like this kind of, I'm beside myself because it's just this. I know this movie did a great job, but these officers have been doing it for so long.
It was done very tastefully too, and I really respect the guys that did it. So here's a big problem. I mean, I became a law enforcement officer before we didn't even have cell phones.
Right.
I was a cop before Al Gore invented the internet. That's one of my favorite jokes. Sorry. We have to do better with the technology and fighting it, the technology of it. There's way too much profit. And like everything, you follow the money, with everything. Look what's going on. I mean, look what happened in California. They were trying to make, I can't even remember specifically now, stiffer penalties for child sex crimes. And they voted it down.
Right. This is very
They
recently.
should have burned down the damn Capitol. Now, I'm saying that facetiously, not actually. I don't believe in insurrection, but damn it. Where's the outrage? Where is the outrage? There's people protesting the movie.
Yeah.
Dude, it's true.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that harsh.
No.
It's not even the most of the truth. It was pretty mild to what's actually going on. And people are protesting the movie. They wouldn't even, there were companies that wouldn't even make the movie and didn't want the truth to be out. What in the hell is wrong with our society?
I don't know why you would want to stick your head in the sand on an issue like that.
They're children.
They're children. They're women. They're children. They're helpless. It doesn't matter, man, woman, or child. They're helpless, and they deserve protection.
What is wrong? I mean, it falls in the same boat. Okay, look at. We were talking about the border issue, and now we're talking about this. So,
but this
they
directly
tie together.
ties to it.
So, kids are getting on TikTok and they're being offered money to drive, steal their parents' car, steal any car, to drive down to the border, down into Cochise or wherever, and they're picking up illegals or drug traffickers, and that they have no idea who these people are. Some of them are previously deported, convicted sex offenders, burglars, rapists, murderers, who knows? And it's been proven. I'm not just saying that. And it's nothing racist because some of these people are from all over the place.
Correct.
And they're picking them up and bringing them back, and the cartels are watching and giving them directions on how to drive like maniacs and not obey law enforcement and drive with their headlights off and all kinds of different stuff, and putting their lives in danger big time. I mean, can you imagine if you had a teenage child, anybody out there, if you had a teenage child and they went and jacked your keys and took off in your car and headed for the border and picked up several unknown people that came into the country illegally, and you have no idea who they are, and the cartel is directing your child to drive someone up into the valley and drop them off and be paid money. Okay, they're in touch with a criminal cartel from another country.
Yep.
That's not in another country. They're here operating illegally.
They're here.
And they may be trafficking drugs. Mm-hmm. They may be trafficking criminals. Mm-hmm. They may be trafficking both. Firearms. Mm-hmm.
Stolen identities.
When they get up to the valley, who's to say that they're just going to drop, they're going to allow these people to just get out of the car and your child's going to drive off?
Nope.
Why wouldn't they? Your child is a perfect opportunity for them to be trafficked.
Yep.
Your car is a perfect opportunity for them to turn a quick buck and steal your car and head southbound and pick up another load, drive it across the border and sell it real quick and cheap. There's nobody going to track it. You're not going to know it's gone.
People are not
3-4 hours away.
I was just going to say that the time and distance is so minute. It can be done in a work day, and people don't understand the fact that this shit still happens. I don't know I'm sure you remember, but there was a rash in like 2009, 10, 11, maybe into 12, where it was just drop house after drop house after drop house in West Phoenix. And it usually came about, there would be a Hispanic male, and the type of human trafficking that I did, it was predominantly Hispanic. Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, South America, all that. Not just Mexico.
They were Latin.
Yes. where there would be a Hispanic male that would be seen running down some neighborhood road with no shoes on, screaming and yelling. That happened dozens of times.
They'd escaped out a window or something, yeah.
And people don't realize that they get their shoes taken away so that
they can't run.
because it's 200 degrees outside.
The asphalt's 200 degrees.
Right.
They're not going to run too far.
I was with the Phoenix hike teams. I've been in the houses. I've been in the drop houses. I've done this stuff. This shit is happening now.
So here's a funny story. Back in the day, I was on the motor squad, so we were extra, not patrols, and they've got to cover their minimum beats in the city. So we were extra staffing, and they were doing the water walk. So it was coming around, getting warm, and they wanted to warn people about, watch your kids around water. So they wanted us to go through the neighborhoods and hang flyers on the doors and contact residents about, be careful with your kids around water. So we're walking through the neighborhoods, hanging these flyers and knocking on doors. Well, I had previously worked in New Mexico as a DEA agent, so I knew what to look for. And we walked up to this house, and there's like 25 of those little Christmas tree air fresheners hanging from the lamp on the
felony forest.
Yeah, the felony forest, freaking hilarious.
Sorry,
that's awesome. I never heard that one.
Really?
Yeah, that's a good one. So felony forest,
criminal interdiction.
That's a good one. Hanging from the lamp, the porch light, and it reeked, bro. Reeked of marijuana. So fresh, not burned. So we walk away and immediately call task force. They come over. They found, I can't remember, like 500 pounds of weed and a white van in the garage, nobody in the house. Of course, we set up on it. There was nobody there. Nobody escaped. I don't know if they'd abandoned it previously, but we found packaging inside where they had been unpackaging the bales. And for like another 2,000 pounds, they figured. Just the loose shake in the carpet that they vacuumed up was another 100 pounds or something of, stems and seeds. And,
it's all crap.
And that was from the unpackaging and then repackaging and smaller stuff to distribute. And God, it was crazy. But I mean, we called it the pot walk after that because it was the water walk. And then after that, it was the pot walk because we found that huge stash, and it was in Glendale, in a nice neighborhood, and people were shocked.
It's everywhere.
And I was like, dude, why are you shocked?
Yep. That's just one of these things where
it's everywhere.
The people don't understand, and I say the people, just the community as a whole don't understand that they are picked up in Maricopa County.
Oh yeah,
this stuff happens on the border of Mexico, yes, but it happens. They're getting picked up and brought into our communities. Yeah. And again, we're not talking sanctuary cities here. We're not talking politics. We're not talking the policies. We're talking the actualities of human beings that are getting smuggled across.
Well, and like you called it a hub. This is where the major interstates combine, and rail system is right here in Maricopa County. And this is where everything gets spread as the hub, like you said. And it all goes out from here to Chicago, New York, LA, Canada. I mean, it goes everywhere from here. And if nothing's being done here, the counties south of us, Yuma, everywhere. Hell, Yuma, most of the people that cross the border in Yuma are from foreign, they're OTMs other than Mexican.
Okay.
They're Chinese, Bangladesh, Saudi Arabian, all kinds of weird stuff.
A direct
right across there.
An amazing videographer who's actually doing like real journalist shit, who went down with the Cochise County Sheriff and maybe Pima County. I'm not sure. His name's Peter Santinello.
Oh yeah,
the dude is amazing, and he showcased all this stuff. He's real. He just takes his little GoPros and goes and films shit. But on that note, though, again, in my human trafficking days, I had maybe a dozen other than Hispanics. I'll just call them. I had a few from Chinese origin, a few from India origin,
right.
Not Indian, but India. Well, I guess I would make them Indian. But the majority was all Hispanic. And when I was watching this Peter Santinello video that just came out within the last 8 months or so, man, there was people from all over the world, not just Hispanic in Latin America, but all over that were coming across. And I was like, man, that's a huge shift that's happened. And the enforcement needs to be here. We need task force.
It's a big recognition too. You go down and look at the government signs north of the border that give direction on how to call for help if you need rescue. What language are they written in?
I don't know anymore.
Spanish.
Okay. And
Chinese.
Oh my God.
And some Middle Eastern language.
Probably Pakistani.
I don't know if it's Pakistani or Arabic. I think it's Arabic, but I'm not sure because I can't read it, but that's what it looks like, the squealy line.
Understood.
But I'm like, dude, really? Really?
Think about that trek from the Middle East to Mexico to here and how much that cost.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. And so some of the stuff that I do know about, once they these people get across the border, they're dumping IDs and everything that they have that's identifiable. They're finding piles of it. Some of it is receipts from resorts in Mexico where they're spending $1,000 a night to stay in exclusive resorts, but they're coming here for asylum. What the hell? And their IDs, they're dropping their IDs. So who are they once they identify themselves to us? We don't know, and we can't verify it because, these other countries, some of them don't even document their date of birth.
Right.
They don't even know. And so who in the hell are they? We don't know.
And why is it controversial to want to know who's coming into our country? That I don't understand.
Think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Our government checks the hell out of me when I fly.
Right.
But they don't want to know who that guy is. It's coming from somewhere else. I mean, hey, it ain't fair.
It's not.
I was born here. I was raised here. And, they want to everything but probe me in private places, just to fly from here to DC when I went back for a police week. Honestly. And, I'm carrying police ID and still, and then, but somebody coming in from another country that they don't even want to see their ID. They, to get on an airplane, all they have to show is their immigration.
Right.
Supposedly show up in 5 to 10 years for a court date. That's your ID.
The thing that
some bitch
I don't think the public understands also is that the term asylum seekers is used and all that good stuff. Do I believe that the overwhelming majority are escaping terrible circumstances that are trying to make a better life for themselves? 100%, absolutely. 100% absolutely. Should we allow those people in? Yes. With documenting them, fingerprinting. My fingerprints are on file. My social security number is on file. Like, again, know who these people are.
We have people here that are in bad circumstances too.
Right.
Yeah.
But the lie that's being told to them is about the process of coming to America by the cartels.
And what's waiting for them to
exploit them.
That's crap.
Yep.
And, well, it's not just the cartels that it's doing it either. And that's what really chaps my ass. The advertising on how to get here and what's waiting for them and how great it's going to be. And they get here and then they get all pissed off because they're finding out it's not true. Well, I apologize. That sucks. They're being sold a crap bill of goods and lied to about what's waiting for them here. And it's just not. That's just dishonest.
Yep.
And
it's people's lives.
So wrong. And they're being played as pawns in a
100%.
political game, and politics sucks, man. And politics is really nasty, and I really didn't want to get involved. And hell, here in Maricopa County, politics is just so nasty. It can be so vicious, and the attacks.
Arizona has a corrupt past.
Oh, it's got a corrupt present.
Agreed.
I've been attacked. I've been sued. There's hack reports coming, from a political opponent, and for people to use personal attacks for political gain, it just reeks of desperation.
Agreed.
And cowardice.
Agreed.
And just to lie about somebody's personal life and attack, I've had to explain things to my kids that I never wanted them to know happened, and it wasn't necessary that they knew happened. My youngest is 27 years old. I've got 6 grandkids. Like I said, I'm old. But I've protected my kids from things that happened in the past that they didn't need to know about. Things that their mom did, that they just didn't need to know.
Right.
'Cause it didn't affect them, and she did it out of spite. And it was to wound me, and it was dishonest, and it didn't need to involve them. But now, because I'm in politics, somebody's trying to attack me on it, And it was a lie 25 years ago, and it's a lie now. But trying to use that for political gain is the most cowardly thing you could do. And it reeks of desperation. And if you have to go there, it's just the most despicable thing you could do. I'd never do anything like that to anyone.
Right.
My worst enemy in the world, I would never attack like that,
right.
Publicly or personally. And, I really don't have any enemies, but, even somebody, no, not on a personal level.
Right.
'Cause I don't make things personal. It doesn't need to be. It's politics, which makes it automatically not personal, but people take it to a personal level. And that just shows, first of all, their lack of character and their lack of, ability to lead properly. And anybody that, goes down that path in politics it shows automatically, that's the biggest turnoff for me. Anybody starts making personal attacks, that automatically turns me off. I would never want to work for someone like that.
It's disingenuous.
Like that. Oh yeah.
It's disingenuous. And just like you said, it's the lowest form. I mean, how many times have you been involved in an argument, whatever the argument may be, with whoever it may be, and you're debating facts, and the next thing you know, that person's losing, and they resort to the personal attacks.
Oh yeah,
it's bullshit.
Yeah, stay on focus, bro.
Debate me on the merits of what I'm talking about.
Stay on the merits, and stick to the topic. There's no reason for anything to get personal. There's have some respect, and if there's no respect shown, it just shows lack of character.
Agreed.
And it really should show people how that person will be, because talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words.
Amen.
And look at what a person's done, and look at how they act, and don't just look at what they say. I can make promises all day. Look at what I've done. Talk to people that know me, and you've gotten to know me a little bit, and your general assessment of me, like you said earlier when you first met me, that's an honest opinion. If you want to know honestly what I'm like, call me. Let's go have coffee. We'll sit down. I'll pay. I don't care. I'll buy you coffee. Let's sit down and talk. I had 5 meetings last week with people that wanted to meet me and ask me questions. Let's sit down and talk.
Yeah.
I don't care. If you want to get to know me, if you have some questions, call me.
Yep.
Shoot me an email. If you don't want to meet in person, if it's, logistically not possible,
right.
Ask me questions. It's on the website. It's crawfordforsheriff.com. I have a Facebook page. Ask me. I answer them.
And on that note, these are all the ways to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
So crawfordforsheriff.com.
Yeah.
Is it Mike Crawford or just Crawford?
It's the website is crawfordforsheriff.com.
Okay.
Facebook is Mike Crawford for Sheriff.
Okay.
There's Instagram. Now my wife filters all that stuff.
Gotcha.
You wouldn't believe some of the political stuff. But Jamie does filter all that stuff. But I do answer the questions, and I actually spend a lot of time answering stuff.
Nice.
And the answers are from me. You'll get it on, I think it's Instagram and messaging. You'll get an automatic response. Thank you for your interest and blah, blah, blah. That's to let you know that the message did come through. But any messages that come after that, any responses are from me. I'll answer anything. And I don't mind talking to you. I love answering questions. And if you have we do animal rescue is a big deal.
Okay.
There are things that the sheriff is statutorily tasked with. We talked about that, and constitutionally. Animal rescue, search and rescue. Those are going to be a huge part. I have 2 rescue dogs. One is my retired service dog. She's 13. That's Weta. She's a Beagle Bulldog. Interesting combination, but she's gorgeous. And our newest, and you can go on Facebook and stuff. We post pictures of them all the time. Our newest is Kingston. He's a 15-month-old XL American Bull. He's 15 months and he's 150 pounds. He's a beast.
He's a big boy.
And he's such a lover. He's so sweet, but he's being trained up to be my service dog. He helps with a lot of issues.
So let me
like PTSD and stuff like that.
I'm just going to ask you, and I'm going to come out and ask the question.
Yeah.
You have been extremely open and honest.
Absolutely.
Do you think that admitting to issues that you have is detrimental to you? And how are you going to be able to fulfill the position with what you've stated that you have?
So I've had these issues since 1991.
And it hasn't bothered you at all?
I've been through 2 police academies, and I served in law enforcement for 28 and a half years. Bring it.
There's your answer.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that, saying, how do I ask this question?
Yeah, no, I've had arthritis, I broke my back in 1991.
Right.
There's speed bumps in the road, and sometimes there's obstacles, and you work around them. I am disabled. I ain't no cripple.
Gotcha.
And being struck by lightning, damn, that's weird, you know?
Just to say it, it's kind of weird.
Jesus. A meteor might as well fallen out of the sky and landed on me, you know? But things happen in life for a reason. And honestly, I look now I see it as a blessing. God changed my path, and I went into law enforcement. I was able to touch a lot of lives, and a lot of people touch me and have made me who I am today. And I understand a lot better about a lot more in people and about myself. Yeah, I hurt. But shit, pain hurts, but it sucks, but it ain't the end.
Right.
Some people get hurt and they let it define their whole life.
Amen.
But I got better things to do.
Yeah.
I like living. I'm not a human being. I'm a human doing.
Nice. I like that.
I heard that the other day, and it rocked me. It really did.
That's a good statement.
Man, that rocked me. I'm not just being, I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's your choice.
Yeah.
And I think it says a lot about a person if you look at what they're doing and
Or not doing.
in
this case. In a lot of cases.
My wife has MS. You know, we have that makes us such a great team too. MS is so cruel. It's such a crapshoot. Some days she can't walk. She's a fighter though. God, she's such an inspiration. I love her so much. She's so tough. Now I'm going to get emotional. We went shopping the other day. She may have to be in a chair. But when she was diagnosed, she was supposed to be in a chair 5 years ago.
No.
She's not yet. That is one tough girl. And she's so damn tough, and she's such an inspiration. She cares so much. She fights so hard. And I'll be damned if she's going to beat me. I got to be tougher than her. You know what I mean? And we just out tough each other. It's a constant fight, and it's competition.
That's not a bad competition.
We're both that way. We're both tough, and she's my best friend, and we're never going to stop. And we're a hell of a team, man. And that's never going to stop. Even with MCSO, she's not going to hold any positions at MCSO or anything like that, but she will be there as part of the family, you know, helping with the spouses and kids and grandkids. I mean, we're grandparents and we love kids. So if anybody ever needs daycare, or, you know, if you can't cover a shift because you can't find a babysitter or something, hey, give us a call. We'll watch the kids. I don't care. We'll be that for everyone there. I'm going to be there for you. And I honestly mean that. I mean that sincerely. And I'm like that for a lot of people. We touch a lot of people in our lives that way. And I mean, it's just not MCSO, but I do want to be that person for them. And I honestly and sincerely mean that. And I even mean that for Penzone. Dude, I joke around with him all the time. I have his personal cell phone number. I texted him not too long ago a picture. Jamie and I were out, and we like to go out in the country. We have a side-by-side razor that we take out. We were out by Lake Pleasant. It's closer to my house.
Yeah.
And I took a beautiful picture of the countryside, and it was in the middle of the week on purpose. And I said, man, retirement sure is fun. Look at this. And he says, dude, are you trying to retire me early?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
you know, we banter back and forth. And I said, come on, man, it's beautiful out here. Retirement's awesome. But, you know, I'll do that for Paul. I mean, I'll babysit his grandkids, you know, whatever. But I'm just that guy, and that's not going to change. I'm not going to change. Me. I never have, other than just to be better and more understanding and more caring. But I don't step away from my principles, and I never have, and I never will. But we can make this place better.
Yeah.
Together, we can. And we will.
Mike, we have sat and talked for over 3 hours now. And again, I think we could go on for all day.
Yeah.
And I want to get this out there, let this soak and marinate, and get people interested in you and hear what you have to say. So what is next for your campaign? And what so we talked about how you can get reached, Mike, or Crawford.com, CrawfordForSheriff.com.
Yep.
Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, we have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace. No, just kidding. That's showing my.
You need,
my age.
right? Tom's your friend.
Yeah.
You need to hire Mark Lamb as your PR person.
Oh,
that would be the
too
best.
damn busy.
I know, right?
And you know, we talk. I have his personal cell as well, and we talk all the time. Not as much now, actually. He's so busy with his Senate run, and I'm supporting him 100%. I love Mark to death, and I really hope the best for him. What I need is 10,000 signatures to get on the ballot.
Okay.
In Arizona, you have to qualify to be on the ballot.
By when?
March of next year. Okay. So you can go on my website. There's a nominate button. It doesn't cost anything. Hit the nominate button. It takes you to Secretary of State's website. You enter in your voter information so it can verify who you are. You go all the way to the bottom, and it'll say Frank, because that's my birth full name is Frank Michael Crawford. Frank is a family name. My uncle and my grandfather were Franks. So, but I go by Mike. It says Frank Mike Crawford, and for Maricopa County Sheriff, and you just if you qualify, if you're a registered Republican or independent, and you're qualified in Maricopa County, it will show me on your eligibility list, along with everybody that you're eligible to sign their petitions. Senate races, city council, mayoral races, anything. But mine will probably be all the way at the bottom of your list, and you can go over there and click to nominate me and sign my petition.
And that gets
all
one
that
of the
does
signatures.
is nominate me and gets me on the ballot.
Okay.
Qualifies me to be on the ballot.
Once you hit those 10,000 marks.
Right. Our goal is 10,000. The minimum requirement, we believe, is going to be about 4,500.
Okay.
I would love to turn in 10,000. I won't get sued and challenged again like I did last time.
That kind of bullshit always happens because of signature verifications
It's
and
dirty.
blah, 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 blah.
It's a dirty, underhanded backdoor trick that was pulled last time.
Right.
Cost me $4,000 to fight that. I did qualify at the end of it all. It's a dirty, underhanded trick that was pulled last election. I did qualify, and I was on the ballot. I almost took it. I only lost by 10 points.
Okay.
And I'd never run for office, and I was working full-time, 40 hours as a cop, campaigning 40, 50 hours a week. So that was tough. Now I'm retired. I can do it full-time. But the other big thing, we're fundraising like crazy. This isn't cheap. I get none of the money. It's all for advertising and for the campaign. That's all it's for. I have to get my name out there so people know to vote for me. One of the big things, I never really talked about my story about the lightning strike and my godly path in 2020. Since then, I went through the EMDR therapy, and I'm a lot more comfortable talking about it in public. That was the main thing, and to help me deal with it, like getting static shock and things like that, just my day-to-day life. And like if there's lightning out, I'm not afraid to go outside. But now I talk about it more, and it's just to be more open with people and to be more personable. And you'll never forget I was struck by lightning. You'll go, God, that's Mike. And that's why it's on the advertisement. All my stuff has the lightning bolt on it. But it's just to let people know who I am and where I came from a little bit better, and just to know me.
People want sincerity.
Yeah.
They want honesty. They want truth, and they don't want to be bullshitted anymore.
Absolutely.
They're fucking tired of the bureaucrats. And I apologize for my language. They don't want the bureaucrats. No. They're tired of the lying. They're tired of the typical same old.
Right. And that's what I'm about. And it makes it easier for me to talk to people and just tell them who I am and where I'm from and why I'm doing this, and I'm an open book. Ask me anything. I don't care.
I think
my whole file from Glendale PD is available. One of my opponents paid a lot of money, had it pulled, and as soon as he did that, I put it online so everybody can see it.
Good.
My DD 214. You want to see it? I'll show you. My medical records to prove I was struck by lightning. I'll show you.
That would be one hell of a story to fake.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people make up all kinds of crap.
Yeah.
I've proven people weren't Navy SEALs. Somebody walks up to you and tells you they're a Navy SEAL.
They weren't a SEAL.
I'll tell you 100% they're full of shit.
Right.
And I've proven it. I know people who have access to the database, and I've proven them wrong. I've proven people were full of shit, and I love doing that because stolen valor is very important to me. And that's why I'm very honest about, I was a mechanic,
One of the things, when I started this podcast, the only way I would ever be able to bridge the gap with law enforcement and get gentlemen such as you on is if I was honest about my past. And if you watched my episode with Matt Thomas, that's where I said to him, I'm going to do something you didn't know I was doing.
With Pinell County.
And I was open about my past.
They arrested you.
Yep. Because the only way I'm going to have any credibility at all is if I'm honest. Because that shit's public record.
Oh, no. I know.
And the thing is, too,
public record.
Now they can't use that shit as a weapon against you.
And that's like somebody coming out and saying, that I did this or I got arrested for that or I've been charged with a felony. Bullshit. Prove it.
Right.
You can't. And the article doesn't even have a name of who wrote the article.
Really?
And who reported it. There's no name. It's all made up bullshit. And check my criminal history. I'll show you.
Which is easy to do. Arizona Public Access. Everybody can go to it and Google
I'll show
shit.
You. It's blank.
No.
I've never been charged with a crime in my life. It was all investigated.
You know what?
Yeah. My ex-wife was arrested for lying to the police.
Let's do this.
Yeah, I got full custody of my kids. I raised them for 12 years. The court would not give me full custody of my kids if I broke the law. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be a cop, dude, right?
You would not be.
Yeah.
So let's do this right now.
Go for it.
With the camera on. Camera can.
Yep.
I'll move out of the way here. There we go. I'll pull it up in a second. Arizona Public Access. And this is just put the icing on the cake.
Yep.
This is not planned, by the way.
Nope.
Arizona Public Access. So last name Crawford. First name was Frank.
Frank.
2 Franks. I've had 2 Franks on the podcast. What year were you born? 14, 18. No, I'm just kidding.
1969, baby.
Nice. There, just put the year in.
Full disclosure. My birth date.
0 results.
Is 8/6/69. The primary election is on my birthday, so if you want to give me a birthday present, vote for me on the primary.
But there we go. We just pulled up your criminal record here in the state of Arizona, and it was a complete blank.
Yes,
so there
it is, and it will remain such.
So, Mike,
I've never been charged with a crime in my life.
I cannot thank you enough for coming out here.
I appreciate
thank
you, bro.
enough for doing this. I know there's stuff I missed. The one question that was asked was they saw the picture of you and me and you had your gun on.
Yes.
What kind of 1911 do you carry?
Depends on what day it is. I have a few.
Okay.
The one you saw me, or my campaign gun, we'll call that.
Okay.
The one that everybody sees me with is a Kimber 1911.
Not bad.
It's the medium size compact carry, and it's stainless, and the grips I have on it are no longer available. Thank God I got them in time. They were from colddeadhands.com.
Okay.
And they are the copperhead snake grips with The Gadsden flag.
Nice. Nice.
And it's in the truck, actually.
Do you know that the FBI considers the Gadsden flag a
hate symbol?
A hate symbol, and
Yeah.
that makes you a what is it? A domestic violent extremist if you use that flag.
So that flag came the first time it was ever flown and was designed by the first Marines of the United States that stood in the Civil War. Don't tread on me.
Nope.
And I wear it to honor them and what it actually stands for.
Well, yeah. When it's not a perverted
Stand for my rights.
Yeah,
is all it means.
A perverted use of a symbol. I thank you so much.
I love you, brother.
I love you too, man. This has been so much fun, and I've enjoyed every second of meeting you. So if I am able to get somebody that your opponent on, it might be a little biased, but
any of them,
right? But at the same time, though, I like your vision. I like what you're about. I like what you've said. I like all of it.
And I'm sincere. And if anybody has any suggestions or comments, let me know.
Yeah,
I would love to hear them.
I'll put all of your information up on everything.
I'd love to hear them. But we have some. I didn't get to talk about a lot of the minutia of the posse. The posse is going to be massive. I know at the height of the sheriff's posse here in Maricopa County, it was somewhere between 2,500, 3,000. I'm looking to double it.
Nice.
Maricopa County was founded on volunteers, and volunteerism is a huge part of my life and always has been. And we're going to blow up the posse here. It's going to be huge. If you want to volunteer, if you want to serve your community, that's going to be the place to do it. And we're going to have massive opportunities to do it. And it's going to involve search and rescue. And it doesn't, you don't have to be armed. If you have an issue with being an armed person, that doesn't have to play. Most of the posse members are not armed. So search and rescue, air rescue, if you have an airplane and want to volunteer to help with air rescue, search and rescue, Jeep rescue, off-road rescue, land rescue, water rescue, animal rescue, search and rescue with animals, horseback, or disabled posse. If you want to work the help desk, if you want to help with filing, if you want to answer phones, whatever you can do and want to do, I don't care what your disability is. We'll find something for you to do if you want to. I'm disabled. I've been a cop for 28 and a half years. Don't let a disability stop you. It's a roadblock. Go around that roadblock, press on, fight hard, adapt and overcome. The Marines have done it for years. You know, it's a good motto. Obviously, I'm not a Marine, but it's a good motto.
It is.
I've used it. There's so many things we could do. We're going to youth posse. We're going to get young people involved. We're going to do so many massive things with everything in the county. I have a lot of ideas. It's going to take a long time to implement them. I know that. I'm not biting off more than I can chew. We're going to do these in stages and steps in an organized process.
If you can get the buy-in, though.
Yeah.
If you can get the buy-in, though, that will get the people on board.
Yeah. We have to get rid of the Melendrez lawsuit and get it timed out so we can save some money, so then we can apply the taxpayer money properly and get more deputies on the street to protect us. We've been the fastest growing county for a long, long time.
Amen.
And we've had dwindling law enforcement services. We need to get more officers out there on the road to make sure we are safe. That's all. I don't believe in a police state at all. We work for you. Let us work for you and let us help you. That's all. I don't want deputies out there overseeing people.
Right.
We're out there to help you. If you get a flat tire, we'll help you out. If you need, help in the community, somebody to watch over the kids in the school, we just want people to feel safer. That's all. That's all.
That's not a bad mission.
That's all I want to do.
That's it. Thank you.
And I do it because I care.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thanks for having me and giving me the time.
CrawfordForSheriff.com.
CrawfordForSheriff.com.
Instagram, Facebook, all the fun stuff.
And Mike Crawford for Sheriff.
There you go.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it.